Sunday in New York. Perfect day for doing just about anything. A handsome cab ride in the park, or maybe coming out to see a pretty hot ball club. Last chance to see the American League at Citi Field this year. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets playing the Minnesota Twins. Mets baseball is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. Have a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ralph Kiner with us today as the Mets wrap up their series with the Minnesota Twins. Last interleague game of the season for the Mets, who have done very well in interleague play. They've won 12 and lost 5. Rubber game of 3 today with the Minnesota Twins, and that means the last chance to see the defending American League MVP, Joe Mauer. He's a really special player.
And being special, the fact that he is a catcher, and he has led the American League in batting average for 2 years, and that has been unusual. No other catcher in the American League ever won the batting title. In the National League, 2 catches. One was Ernie Lombardi and also Bubbles Hargrave.
Bubbles Hargrave, a long time ago. On the other side for the New York Mets, they've got a young player who's starting to make an impact in 20-year-old Ruben Tejada.
Well, Ruben Tejada, 20 years old. Remember, he was recalled June 4th, and he's currently with a 9-game hitting streak. That's the second longest hitting streak by a rookie in the Major League Baseball so far this year. During his homestand, he's been doing the little things. We know about his glove, okay? He's a shortstop, but he's been playing since his recall predominantly, solely at second base, and picking it very nicely, turning a nice double play. He scored 5 runs in this homestand. He's been in the middle of a lot of big innings. He's got a nice little future in store for him. He's in the lamp today again.
On the mound for the Mets today, left-hander Jonathan Neese. In his last start, he was staked to a 10-run lead, but because of a rain delay, could not get through the 5th inning, wound up giving up 6 runs, matching the most he's ever given up. He'll try and bounce back today. And for the Twins, it'll be Scott Baker, who won 15 games for Minnesota last year. Baker, the right-hander, another one of these fine control pitchers for the Minnesota Twins under Ron Gardenhire and their pitching coach, Rick Anderson. It's the Mets and the Twins, last of 3 before the Mets head to Puerto Rico. All the action on SNY. AT&T, rethink possible. By Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. By Volkswagen. By Pittsburgh Paint, trusted by generations of painters and homeowners for over 100 years. Nobody knows paint like PPG Pittsburgh Paints. And by Parts Authority, the future of auto parts. Get inside Citi Field, take a guided tour of Citi Field, and visit the Mets clubhouse, dugout, the Mets Hall of Fame and Museum, and more. Call 718-507-TIXX or log on to Mets.com to reserve your tour today. Here's your Suzuki around the majors for today. The White Sox won their 11th in a row. Paul Konerko homered in the 8th inning to beat the Cubs 3-2. Longest win streak for the Cubs for the White Sox since 1961. Chipper Jones 3-run homer in the 7th against Joel Zumaya, and the Braves beat the Tigers 4-3. Now a game and a half in front of the Mets, and 11 strikeouts for David Price in 8 innings as he wins his 11th. Tampa Bay bounces back from being no hit and beats Arizona 5-3.
And an important historic note here. On this date in 1973, David Clyde, remember him with the Texas Rangers? 18-year-old made his debut for the Texas Rangers, who went on to win that ball game.
I think they're in their hottest streak since then.
Yes.
Texas winners of 12 of their last 13. Day baseball as the Mets finish up their homestand with Jonathan East on the mound. VJ's Wholesale Club. Members receive 2 tickets, an ID card, club cap, bags, special offers, and much more. Sign up today at Mets.com/kidsclub. Here's your variety. Your Ford starting lineup brought to you by Ford for the Minnesota Twins. A little different lineup today for Ron Gardenhire as he sits his big slugger Justin Morneau against the left-hander Nice. A little curious there since Morneau's hitting .340 against lefties this year. So Michael Kadire moves over to play first. Danny Valencia gets the start at third, and the former Dodger Jason Repko makes his debut for the Twins. They just called him up a couple of days ago. Here's your Verizon numbers for Jonathan Neese.
And Jonathan, of course, coming off that 14-6 game with the hour delay, was one out from a W with the big lead. And boy, I'm sure he learned a lesson from that. Since his recall from the disabled list, reactivation, I should say, back on June 5th, he's 3-0 with an ERA of 3.25. He's really pitched well. And the Lexus Metsi defense. Cipe, Feliciano in center field again. Pagan might be able to start tomorrow. They can say he can pinch hit today. Francoeur in right. Davis, Tejada, Reyes right. Barajas again behind the plate. Mets have been playing solid defense. No errors, indicative of that solid play.
Denard Span will lead things off for the Twins. 3 for 8 in the series, including a leadoff home run in the game here on Friday night against Mike Pelfrey. Span hitting at .275 for the year. The Twins in first place in the American League Central. They're a game and a half up now on both the White Sox, who have been coming with an enormous rush, and the Tigers. And Neese gets the afternoon started with a fastball on the inside corner with Span bailing out.
One thing about Span is the fact he didn't like his home park. He is hitting terribly there. 173.
Target Field thus far in its first season has proven to be about as helpful to hitters as Citi Field.
Very similar. It's a big ballpark, and he has not done well there. Obviously, he's hit well on the road.
Span, one of only 2 left-hand hitters in the lineup today against Neese. Joe Mauer is the other one. And Keith, you were mentioning earlier in the series how lefty dominant this Minnesota team is, and Ryan Gardner trying to change that up a little bit today.
Well, he's sat down Justin Morneau today. A little bit of a surprise. And Morneau was hitting probably the best for this whole ball club. Is hitting lefties as well as righties equally as well. That's a high 300s.
Just missed fastball from Neese, 1-2. Also, Jason Kubel out of the lineup today, sitting against the left-hander.
You think if you're going to give anybody a rest, it would be your catcher on a day game after a night game.
He doesn't rest much.
No.
Breaking ball from Neese and it's fouled off.
You know, one thing about resting players, Greenberg was one of the great hitters of all time. Talking years and years ago to you can't hit when you're on the bench. You can't add on to the ball club. You can't win a game. You can't do a thing. Why would you ever want to go on the bench? The whole thing is you can't do anything when you're sitting on that bench.
Span with a long turn at bat. So you think that if you're an everyday player, you should play every game?
I think that's very true, and I think the main thing about that is the fact that you're paid to play, and you're a strong person. I mean, you don't have any problems about health or whatever, and playing baseball is a game. It's not that tough.
I see as he hopped for Tejada to handle for the first out of the game.
Maybe for you, Ralph, it wasn't that tough. Speak for yourself.
Well, when you were a kid, you went out every day and played ball, didn't you?
Yes.
Every day.
Every day. No question.
Well, let me ask you this. Since now the games last longer, and I think the schedule is maybe a little more compact. There are no doubleheaders, fewer off days.
Schedules are longer, too.
Do you think that, and do you think that makes a difference in terms of?
I don't think it makes a difference at all. No, I don't. I think that first of all, when the games are longer, no question about that. That means you sit on the bench when you're a home team, and you rest up there, and you go out, play the outfield or play the infield or whatever you're going to play. The only guys that really need help are the catchers, and that's a tough job. You really work that, but
I do think, Ralph, that the scheduling. Back in the days when you make the West Coast swing, you would hit San Francisco, San Diego, and L.A., and you'd be 10 days on the coast. You have an off day flying out, off day coming back, and you play 3, 3, and 3. You get used to the Pacific time. But today, with the added 2 teams, Arizona and Denver, you go back and forth. I mean, this next road trip coming up for after the All-Star break, you got 4 in San Francisco. Then they go to Arizona for 3, then back to Los Angeles. And another thing, too, in interleague play, when they play the American League West, that's another trip out to the West Coast. And I think when the East Coast teams play the West Coast teams, I think for both teams on each coast, it makes it a really hard schedule for them with all the extra travel.
Yeah, but Keith, there was one thing about this. You never rode the trains.
I understand.
I mean, the trains were really tough. I have an airplane and an airplane, and the longest trip is a 5.5-hour trip, coast to coast. That's not that tough. I mean, those trains were tough. They didn't have air conditioning in half of those trains you rode on.
Oh, I never thought of that one. That would be a little rough.
It was tough. And then also, the trains were never easy, and you had to walk as a player from where they parked the train that you were on. It was a special car and what have you.
Hudson,
and you had to walk to the stadium, to the train station.
Hudson with a one-out base hit, and Joe Mauer comes up.
Well, we saw Mauer yesterday off of Johan Santana get a couple hits off him. Went the opposite field, drove the ball into left center field.
You know, one thing about that, Keith, is that he's very good at hitting the ball the other way. And for some reason, left-hand batters are better at hitting the ball to the opposite field than right-hand batters are to the right field.
Agreed. You're right.
Mauer's 2 for 8 in this series, hitting .307 for the year after hitting .365 for his 3rd American League batting title last year. And he has just 3 home runs this year, none in his home ballpark, after hitting 28 home runs a year ago.
He got off to a very slow start this year.
Cutter by Nice, and he gets ahead 0-2.
And we're talking about Mauer going the other way. Well, look at Feliciano out here. He's to the left of opposite field of second base. Look at Bay. Bay's playing him like a dead opposite, like a right-hand pull hitter.
And you've got Wright way off the line at third base.
Yes, taking that hole away.
Look at the closeness to the plate that Mauer has at that plate. That's another thing that a lot of batters got away from in modern day baseball. They stand too deep in the batter's box.
By deep, Ralph, you mean back in the box?
Back in the box, away from the plate. And the reason, and what makes that a bad position is that you can't reach the outside pitch unless you hit the ball to the opposite field.
Hitters today are more spread open with their legs. They're more widespread. Like Kingman used to. Remember, Dave? He was always a little lanky guys that could get away with it. Kingman had a big, wide stance as far as his legs set, being separated from each other.
Yeah, one of the present-day players and one of the greatest ones is Pujols. He stands very wide and does not strike.
1-2 to Mauer.
There are guys like Gus Cerniol. I had a very wide stance. Joe DiMaggio had a very wide stance. And the reason for a wide stance is to keep you from lunging.
Right.
You see where Mauer was last year when he got off to a fabulous start, particularly in the power department.
Well, the average, too, it's almost 400. That's sizzling.
Slow ground ball. Tejada will go to second and get the force there. Good judgment by Tejada. Knew exactly how much time he had. He gets the force on Hudson for the second out.
We're going to show a pitch sequence. But you see Hudson slide head first on a double play? I've never seen that. We have a pitch sequence here. First pitch fastball right down the middle. Strike one. A little cutter hanging. 0-2. Slider in the dirt. Fastball up and away. Cutter down and away. And then another cutter. Got him to roll it over. Watch the head first slide. I've never seen that. Try and take someone out of second base.
That is very dangerous.
Do you think maybe that he thought that Tejada was going to first, and only at the last minute did he realize that there was going to be a play on him?
Could have thought that way, because this is very dangerous to go in head first with.
Oh, he saw it.
I think it surprised him.
Slide feet first.
That's not good. And I think good. Orlando, who's the second baseman, knows that as well as anybody.
Jeez.
Get hurt that way.
Big time.
Michael Kadire playing first base today after playing third base the first 2 games of the series. His normal position is right field. He's been the best hitter for the Twins, other than Morneau, sitting today against left-handers. He's hitting .304 against lefties, and East falls behind him 3-0.
One of the things about modern day ball players, they seldom shift around in the batter's box against pitchers.
Here's a strike. By the way, vis-a-vis our discussion about playing every day, we should note that Ralph twice led the league in games played, in 1948 and in 1953. There's ball 4, and it says here that in 1953 you played 158 games. Now, I know it was only a 154 game schedule, so how in the heck did you play 158 games?
It's very easy. You get traded. Traded from the Pirates to the Cubs, and the Cubs hadn't played all their games in the schedule to that point. They had to play the extra games with the Cubs.
So there was a trick to it.
There was a trick, yeah. You got to think about those things.
It's not, you didn't know he never got hit for 2 teams in one day the way Joel Young.
Well, that was the thing, and 2 different cities. And he was in Chicago and went to Philadelphia. Like a night game in Philly and a day game in Chicago.
Had the stats.
Got to hit both games in both cities.
Here's Delman Young with 2 out and 2 on, swings and misses at the curveball.
How many guys could say they got base hits in 2 different cities that were 1,000 miles apart?
Yep. Well, speaking of trains, that couldn't have possibly happened in your.
And there's benefits on. That's right. So there were benefits.
Wow, taking a little clip in the head from the bat of Young on that last swing, and now he pulls one foul.
Delman Young has been impressive with his bat. He's off to a tremendous start this year. I shouldn't say start. It's no longer a start. We're almost halfway through this season. He's had a terrific first half.
49 runs batted in, hitting at 298. He swings at just about everything. Got 2 curveballs, neither one over the plate, and he swung at both of them here. And now he shoots one out to second base for Tejada to handle. So for the first time in this series, the Twins do not score in the top of the first, and the Mets will come to bat with no score. Starting lineup for today. Another day on the sidelines for Angel Pagan. The Mets hope to have him back in the lineup tomorrow night down in San Juan. Ruben Tejada back in the lineup after sitting yesterday. As the rest of the unit stays intact, Jose Reyes leads off, tries to drag a bunt. In comes Hudson to field it on the fly. Well, if that ball hits the ground, Reyes probably beats it out, but Hudson, a Gold Glover, makes the play.
Well, this is the second time this series that Reyes has tried to drag bunt. He tried to butcher boy the other night, so I think the word is out. And that's a nice play by Hudson.
It was really a good play because Reyes would have beaten that ball out if it had hit the ground. He could run that fast, and he was off and running on the bunt try. Something he ought to do. Because he can utilize his speed.
There are your Toyota numbers on Scott Baker. Here's Jesus Feliciano taking inside.
Baker, as Gary said, 15 games last year. He won. Straight fastball, not overpowering. Changeup, like a slurve. He's got to keep the ball down, and they want him to throw more breaking balls. He's off to a 6-6 start this year.
Got hammered in his last start in Milwaukee, 5 runs and 9 hits over 6 innings. But like most of the Minnesota starters, he doesn't walk anybody. The Twins every year are first or second in the league in fewest walks allowed.
And number 7 years they have been that way, and that's one of the things you can do when you have a good team. Walks are, as they used to say, are better than a base hit. They almost are.
Well, think of it this way. The Twins pitching staff this year has given up 157 walks. The Mets pitching staff has given up 290 walks, almost twice as many.
And that's a man on first base. And then from there, you can do all kinds of things. You can hit and run. You can bunt and sacrifice. You can do all kinds of things.
So Rick Anderson, the pitching coach. Feliciano shoots one up the middle. And the Mets have a 1-out base run. So Feliciano, who had been 0 for 6 in this series, picks up his first base hit in the 3 games.
Well, Feliciano, all those years in the minors, hit in the minor leagues his whole career, getting an opportunity here. And the Coors Light Twinkie defense. And Mauer, 2-time Gold Glover. You wouldn't think that Mauer would be a Gold Glover, would you? He's a little kind of waddles back there. He's not a really agile guy, but he's very, very surprisingly quick and athletic back there.
He was really a good athlete. He was a great football player on top of being a great basketball player.
Here's David Wright, 2 for 7 in this series, including a home run on Friday night. 59 RBIs, leading the National League.
Ralph, what do you see different in David's swing since he's been red hot?
I heard you talking about it, and you're right about that. In fact, that he has leveled his swing off to some degree. He is really changing from an uppercut swing where you are trying to hit the ball in the air to a swing that will make contact. His strikeout total has dropped immensely since he has gone to that type of swing.
Eats one to center field, a base hit for David. Feliciano's going to try for third, Span to let him go, and the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out.
Well, that's a good play right there. First to third and a base hit to center field. That makes a lot of difference for the Mets and their production of runs.
Well, David's
knows what I did all. I like that right there.
Now, you guys are talking about him leveling off his swing. Do you see something mechanically he's doing to enable him to swing more level, or is it just a matter of intent?
I think it's really just where you are trying to make the bat go. You control the bat with your hands.
I like the way he's on his back foot. He's anchored on his back foot, and then that quick step that he has. And look at the balance.
That's great right there. Yes. You can't do it any better than that.
And, you know, with the uppercut swing, Gary, he's jammed in that pitch. It's a fly ball or a pop-up of that big uppercut, but because he's leveled off, it's a soft liner. It's up the middle.
Mike Davis takes a slider for a strike.
One of the things that no one really talks about is you get on the plane of the pitch coming to you. The sooner you get on the plane of the pitch, which is from higher to lower, the better off you're going to be, and you can make more contact with the bat.
And Ike takes another breaking ball for a strike.
It's been pretty much every day, isn't it, Gary?
Unbelievable. He doesn't see fastballs early in the count ever.
It's backdoor sliders and off-speed pitches. And then up and in to show him, and then maybe a down and in. He's been swinging at the down and in curve, but for a rookie, I've never seen a rookie get so much off-speed and breaking stuff.
And he still has a very good base hit percentage. He has 59 base hits, which is right in the top 10.
Did you see the signs that Mauer was just giving? There's no runner on second base, and he's giving multiple signs. It makes you think that the Twins are concerned about sign stealing of some
sort. You can get the signs from first base if the catcher doesn't get his knees in the right position. I used to get signs for Greenberg all the time off first.
But normally a catcher will only give a simple sign with a runner.
Yes, they do normally. And that's one of the benefits of being able to steal signs at first. They don't think about that.
0-2 to Davis, and he fouls one off. I know when the Mets have gone to Philadelphia over the last few years, they've given multiple signs, regardless of the situation, because there was some concern that the Phillies were stealing signs in their home ballpark.
You'd have to believe they do.
Considering how they hit, maybe not so much this year.
One of the things about stealing signs at second base, you can get them much easier. But the whole thing about that is that the ball club knows you can get them to second base, and they try and use a sequence that can't be deciphered.
There goes Wright. Davis takes inside. Mauer's throw coming in front of the bag. Punto to keep Feliciano from breaking, and Wright has a stolen base.
There's no chance in the world to get David Wright. Got a great jump off at first base, and Mauer has no chance at all to get it. And he doesn't make a good throw on top of that.
Watch Feliciano, guys. Bluff home. And I think this kind of made Punto, I think, who also realized he had no shot. Punto knows how to play the game. He's a good little smart ball player out there.
A strange looking throw by Mauer. Almost as though he lost his release.
It's almost like he knew he had no chance to throw him out.
So 2 in scoring position now for Davis. The infield back with 1 out.
And not the pull on the infield for we've seen with Davis with other clubs. Pretty much straight up.
It's funny because we went to Baltimore and Cleveland, and those teams played him like a dead pull hitter.
Yes.
And since the Mets have come home, these teams, the Tigers and the Twins, have not played him that way at all. And teams, as they scout out Davis, are trying to get a book on him, and they're trying to figure out exactly what he is.
Well, they've got the book on him. They're just building on it.
Just in terms of the spray chart and where the hits are going. And now after getting ahead 0-2, Baker goes for a full count.
One of the things that Davis does when he's in his batting stance, when the pitch is on the way, he drops his hands down. Now, the consensus would be that's not good. But if you get him back up again to where you were, it's all right to do that. He doesn't get them back up all the time.
Did Babe Ruth drop his hands?
Oh, yeah, but he got him back up.
And Davis down swinging for the second out.
You know, the majority of the great hitters in the past all dropped their hands a lot.
Willie Mays.
Way down.
Well, there he goes again, Ralph. You were talking about him fishing after bad pitches.
That's it.
How about Mel Ott? Didn't Mel Ott have a big hit?
He had a big kick.
Yes.
He kicked that high with his front foot.
Lou Gehrig also had a hitch.
And they all did in those days.
So now 2 away, and it's left to Jason Bay. Jason 1 for 6 in this series.
One thing, Gary, about Willie Mays, and we all saw him, and all of us, I guess, watching television, almost I've seen him too when he was playing, is that he moved around the batter's box more than anyone I ever saw, and you could not hit him. And they would throw at him, and you could do that then, it was legal. And you couldn't hit him in 100 years. He was so fast.
Well, all the great battles that Drysdale and Mays had. And McCovey killed Drysdale.
Yeah, he did. McCovey just wore Drysdale. Of course, Drysdale, the secret to Drysdale was to hit him first before he hit you.
1-1 to Bay with 2 in scoring position. And Jason waves at that slider, and it's 1-2.
Ralph, you've been watching. Tell us about Bay. I can't figure out what his problem is.
Well, one thing, he doesn't get the ball in the air. And he has only 4 home runs, and that is devastatingly bad. He's supposed to be the power man in the ball club, and he hasn't done the job he's being paid for. Now, he has an open stance. He's pretty far from the plate, which means he has to go on the outside pitch toward right field. There's a pitch they're trying to get on that outside corner, and they just missed. And a regular fastball right there. And he doesn't have a good fastball.
I could just sense Jason's frustration here, because this is going on now close to a first half of a season.
Well, you got 3 months.
Yeah,
He had 3 months of playing. He got 4 home runs. You can hit that in one game.
I'm just.
Well, most people can't hit 4 in one game.
Well, you can.
No, it's possible.
I'm not saying you would do it, but I said you get 4 chances anyway. Let's put it like that.
Well, last year, Bay got off to a great start in Boston. His first 2 months, he was the MVP in the American League, but then he had 2 really bad months, kind of like what he's had so far here. Although he's kept his batting average up.
He's getting ground ball base hits, but he's not paid all that money to do that.
Well, ground ball base would be okay here with second and third. But he strikes out to end the innings. And Baker, after giving up a couple of hits, comes back with strikeouts of Davis and May to keep it scoreless. The Mets will be heading out today after the game and heading down to Puerto Rico. First time the Mets will be visiting the island since 2004 when the Expos played some games down there. Now it's the Mets and the Marlins meeting for 3 games at Erom Beathorn Stadium starting tomorrow night.
Very nice pronunciation, Gary.
Beathorn was a pitcher in the major leagues. He pitched mainly for the Cubs. And he was known to take an adult beverage on the ball field a few times.
On the ball field?
On the ball field, yes, he was. I saw him play quite a bit in Hollywood, California, when he played for the Angels in the L.A. area when they were in the Pacific Coast League.
Denny Valencia leading off in the second inning. First appearance in the series for the young third baseman out of the University of Miami.
15 games, only 43 at-bats on the season.
And he pops one up. Davis flips the glasses down and makes the grab one away. I love seeing players with flip down sunglasses.
Flip downs were fun.
I mean, they're cool. I guess they were cool when cool mattered to us, but I guess they're not cool to.
I could not wait to get my first set of flip down glasses because you watch Mays, and I was a kid growing up, and in center field, Felipe Alou, and you flip them down. I thought it was so cool when I first got them. The first thing I did was perfect how to do it. I mean, it's very simple.
Well, all you have to do is tap them on the top. That's all. And knock them down to where they cover your eyes.
Yes.
You know, you say that, but I remember watching a game at Shea Stadium when the Braves had Ryan Klesko, and they moved him from first base to the outfield. And the first game he played out there, he kept trying to flip down his sunglasses, and he kept hitting his hat.
Well, actually, you had the bill of the cap to knock him down, and right under the bill of the cap.
Yeah, it didn't work for him.
It's got a little bit of a thing that sticks out to the side of the bill, and you can flip it down right there. I used to do it with my index finger.
This is Jason Repko making his first appearance for the Twins. Released in spring training by the Dodgers, for whom he played his entire professional career. Repko played parts of 4 years in the majors with L.A. Very fast outfielder, but never hit enough to stick with L.A. Nick Punto on deck. And he pulls one over the bag, just foul.
One of the things about Casey, when players on his team, the Mets, of course, in his latter years, was that he would say, we used to play the Sun Field like the Indians used to. They put their hands up over the top of their eyes and peer in and kneel down. That's what he used to say they did when he played.
It's hard to catch the ball kneeling down, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, he did a few odd things. He had a bird fly from underneath his cap when he returned to Ebbets Field that they'd been traded away. And he came to the plate and he bowed to the crowd and took his cap off. And this bird he had picked up in the outfield had been stunned some way or other, and it flew away.
Ripco just gets a piece.
Don't have fun like that anymore, Gary.
It's not as entertaining in that respect, I'd have to say.
Agreed. One time he hit a home run in the World Series, and he lost his shoe while he was running around the bases. And he came across home plate with 1 foot barefoot.
Some of the quirkiness has definitely been taken out of the game.
I think a lot of that has to do with the high salaries.
Well,
you got fined. It was a lot of money.
Remember the story about? I don't know. Did you see this? Jimmy Pearsall running backwards
Oh,
around the bases?
I saw that. Yeah, off down the screen. He had a home run off down the screen. Well, he actually ran backwards around the bases in order.
Right.
And Casey
struck out.
And Casey said when he let him go, he was kicked off the team right after that. Casey said there's only room for one clown on this ball club. That Pearsall was gone, and he was gone.
So Nice has his first strikeout, 2 out of Nick Punto, the batter. Punto 2 for 7 in this series, and has done a terrific job at shortstop in this series, filling in for the injured J.J. Hardy. Punto normally plays third base.
Looking at Newsday today, and always has this date in baseball, there was almost 2 perfect games thrown on this date. One in 1958, Billy Pierce retired the first 26 batters. The pinch hitter hit a double off of him, and he struck out Albie Pearson, so he lost his perfect game and his no-hitter. Jerry Royce in 80 with the Dodgers threw a no-hitter against the Giants and lost the perfect game on a throwing error in the first inning by Bill Russell. I thought I'd throw a little miscellaneous information out there.
He also had a thing in there that was very interesting. A ball player named Clyde, David Clyde, made his debut as a rookie, and he was the highest paid rookie to sign a contract, and the amount of the contract was over $100,000, just over $100,000, beating out a contract that Brent Zwicky, which I can't believe, gave $100,000 to Pettit, who was the left-hand pitcher that he signed for the Pirates.
Mac Davis was ready to flip the ball to Nice, who was nowhere in the neighborhood. Well, he takes it himself, no harm done. 1-2-3 inning for Nice, still no score. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Here's your AT&T trivia question for today. What pitcher has the most combined wins with the Mets and Twins? I'm not sure I understand the question. So a pitcher who pitched for both teams who has the most wins.
I think we can figure that one out.
Combined between his Mets wins and his Twins wins. Rod Barajas leads off the home second and takes a curveball for a strike from Scott Baker. Barajas, 1 for 2 yesterday, returned to the lineup after missing a couple of games with back spasms. Feeling much better and able to play back-to-back games, but the Mets still are carrying 3 catchers. And as Barajas lifts one to left, and Span will come in.
And that's Barajas' wheelhouse right there. He got under that one.
Boy, did he? He had that one where he could really hit it out of the ballpark. He's had a total of 11 home runs so far this year. Second to David Wright.
It looks as though the Mets might continue to carry 11 pitchers and an extra position player for a while. The good thing for the Mets is the starters have been going deeper into games. And right now, Jerry Manuel and Dan Worthen feel as though they can go with 6 relievers and be okay with that. Now, if the starting pitchers start having shorter outings, that of course can change in a hurry.
Well, I think we're starting to see a change in philosophy in starting pitchers and pitch counts. I think baseball's kind of getting back. I think they're going to try to stretch out their starters longer and try to get at least 7. Come on, give me 7.
Well, Nolan Ryan is one of the forerunners of going back to the days when you pitched and didn't have a pitch count. And the Texas Rangers, in first place in their division, has proven the point in a way this year.
Well, we might see this week as being a big turning point in that. If Edwin Jackson comes back and is okay his next few starts after throwing 149 pitches the other day in his no-hitter, other organizations are going to look at that and say, you know what, given the circumstances, we can allow our pitchers to go a little further. 2-2 to Jeff Francoeur, who had 2 hits yesterday, including a bunt single. A rarity for him, something he says he'd like to incorporate a little more into his game.
Well, the one argument against the fact that pinch Scott Spina thing is that the arm is a muscle, and the more you use the muscle, the stronger it gets.
Correct. Now, unfortunately, there's a couple joints in there, in the shoulder and the elbow.
The old rotator cuff.
But I agree with you, Ralph. I mean, the only way you strengthen your arm is to throw longer. When as a kid growing up, I had a good arm because my dad would get us, whatever we were, where we could throw a ball hard and on a straight line to him. And once we were able to do that, he would back us up 5 feet, 5 yards, and build on that.
Right, golf's one down the line foul.
And then pretty soon you just keep getting further and further away, and you couldn't throw a blooper to him. It had to be a straight line, and that's how you build your arm strength. You know, those things got to be with pitchers.
And one of the problems is the fact that the bonuses they give the ball players, like $15.1 million to Strasburg, as compared to $100,000 to a guy like Paul Pettit of the New York Pirates, of the Pittsburgh Pirates. The contention is really basically to protect the money they have invested. But I think it works in reverse. I mean, you guys got Warren Spahn pitched forever. Robin Roberts pitched forever. I mean, you can go back to those old-timers. The 26-inning game, the longest game ever played.
Ground ball, base hit. Chasing it with line is Young. Francoeur trying for 2. Young's throwing a hop, not in time. And Francoeur legs on a 2-base hit.
Well, the third hit for the Mets here, a hanging breaking ball, and Baker has been hanging a lot of curveballs and didn't get away with this one. Another hanger right there sitting on a tee. And Francoeur never hesitating. Well, he's got like a gallop for a run, doesn't he?
Jeff Francoeur, safe at second. Safe and secure. New York Life.
So the Mets have their third hit off Scott Baker, and now Ruben Tejada, who is riding a 9-game hitting streak, hitting .345 over the 9 games. And he takes a breaking ball for a strike.
He's really done a great job moving as a shortstop from shortstop to second base. He's really given the Mets a real plus.
He's just got to keep his swing short. He gets a little long sometimes with his swing, but he's not going to be a power hitter in this park. And he's just got to hit line drives and do the little things.
He's got to be a wee rolly keeler. Hit him where they ain't.
Make a lot of money doing that. Sorry, Gary.
Now on 0-2, Tejada lifts one foul. I was talking to Jose Reyes yesterday about Tejada and said, can't even believe how well Tejada's made the transition to second base. He said, you know, remember Reyes moved to second base for a full season in 2004. He said, I was there for a full year and I never was as comfortable turning a double play as Tejada is after a week of playing the position. Francoeur dancing off the bag, so Baker gives the spin, nobody covering.
Well, I don't think Jose was ever really kosher with moving over to second base.
No, he was very unhappy because they moved him over because the player was given permission to play shortstop for the season. That was the guy from Japan.
Matsui, who had won 7 Gold Gloves in Japan but didn't play nearly as well here. Hit the other way by Tejada, but coming in hard is Repko, who almost misplayed it. Francoeur tagging, trying to go over, and he's out by a mile. Repko, who is a fine outfielder, almost misplayed the ball, but then was able to double up Francoeur to end the inning. Not a good base running decision by Francoeur, but a heck of a throw by Repko. Wire available in HD, presented by IOTV. If you're not here at TV, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. 3 games in Puerto Rico starting tomorrow night against the reeling Florida Marlins. Still trying to figure out who their manager is going to be, not only this week but beyond. And then the Mets go to Washington for 4 games. The Nats, despite Steven Strasburg's elevation to the big leagues, have been struggling as well. So it's a week where the Mets hope to make some hay on the road, as they did on their last road trip.
Edwin Rodriguez is the manager of the Marlins, and he's from Puerto Rico. First manager ever from Puerto Rico in the Major Leagues. And he's going to be there for 3 games at least.
It looks that way now. It was in doubt for a while, but who the manager is going to be for the Marlins after they leave San Juan?
No one knows, but the odds are that Bobby Valentine might be back in the Major Leagues.
If I was Jeffrey Loria, I would hire Bobby Valentine.
No, Loria owned the ball club. I think it was Omaha, one of those clubs in the minor leagues. And he knew Bobby Valentine from that because it was at Farm Club of Texas when Bobby managed Texas.
Baker strikes out. Second strikeout for Nice.
Loria, art dealer, and of course he owned the Montreal Expos at one time.
Well, Bobby, to me, over the years here of watching him manage the Mets, I don't think there's a finer field general, strategist, tactician in the game. He just can't get any better. He knows the game. He's one of the best managers I've ever seen.
I think you're right, and I think the fact that Bobby from Sanford, Connecticut, is perfect for this area because he is aware of the situation. Was a great football player in Sanford in high school. Went to USA on the scholarship for football, and later on opened his career baseball-wise with the Dodgers.
I just think that Bobby, with that Marlin team here, is a team that makes a lot of mental mistakes, not a good defensive ball club. I bet you if Bobby takes over the reins, I think we're going to see a big difference as the years progress with him managing that team.
Think he'll take Cookie Rojas out of the broadcast booth to help him coach?
He might, but Rojas does a great job on the Spanish side of broadcasting. I've lived down there and I listen to them a lot. And also, Rojas is in there now, and he's a great guy. There's no question about that.
Cookie and Bobby work together here in New York, and I think they have a lot of respect for each other. I don't know whether Cookie would want to go down on the field again, but that might be a possibility if Bobby's the manager. 1-2, grounded past Nice, but Reyes is right there to grab it and throws out Span for the second out. The other intriguing thing that happened yesterday with the Marlins is that their first base coach, Dave Collins, resigned for no discernible reason except that I guess he resigned before they made the managerial change, figuring he might lose his job in the switch.
Of course, he was a great base runner and was brought in to be an aide for the base runners on the Marlin team.
So 2 out and nobody on. Here's Orlando Hudson, who has the only hit off John Nice. Single to right field in the first inning. Curveball for a strike. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Talked to some of the Marlin guys, Joe Capozzi, who covers the team for the West Palm Post, and that Collins thing, Gary said, was not, he basically was going to stay and then thought about it and just wanted to remain loyal as Nice makes a nice play. Inning over, Jonathan Nice is rolling. So it's another guy kind of loyal to Freddie Gonzalez. I'll talk more about that a little bit later in the broadcast. Mets center of the plate.
I see you. Wave. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the third inning against Scott Baker. And because Jeff Francoeur unwisely tried to go to third on a fly ball to right, it was doubled up. The Mets will have the pitcher Jonathan Neese leading off in the bottom of the third. So it'll be Neese, Jose Reyes, and Jesus Feliciano against Baker. The Mets have 3 hits. The Twins have but 1. Neese 3 for 20 at the plate this year. Mets today are trying to win the rubber game of the series. Doesn't sound like that big a deal, right? It's been a huge deal for the Mets this year. This is their 11th rubber game this year. They're 2-8 so far in rubber games of series. They've done great in first games of series, not so great when the series has been on the line.
And they've been really wonderful in interleague play this year.
12 wins in 17 games, ties their most wins ever in interleague play. So much of that depends on the schedule you're playing in a particular year. One-two to Neese, and he got him with a breaking ball. Baker has his 3rd strikeout. You'll find a number of significant enhancements here at Citi Field this season, thanks to the quality and skill of New York City Union carpenters and contractors. For more, let's go to Kevin.
Well, one of the things that they helped build in this offseason, Gary, was the Mets Hall of Fame. And we've talked about it a couple times, obviously, this point of the year on the broadcast. But when you walk right into the Hall of Fame, the neat thing is all the bronze plaques right to your left along the wall. And there's a lot of them. I mean, it goes all down the list, the whole organization, starting with, Casey Stengel, all the way up. And the neat thing is you get to see your favorite Mets, read about them. They have some bronze busts there as well. And I think the other cool thing is now everyone gets a chance to see all that stuff, because before they had the bronze bust upstairs in the Diamond Club. So only the people that had the Diamond Club seats could really look at that. Now it's open for anyone to go see it. Plenty of stuff with Ralph, and Keith is there. In fact, Keith, last time I checked, was your gold glove in the museum? Is that still there?
It better be.
One of your gold gloves, I mean?
Yeah, I think it's 88 I gave. And I'm also going to give him some more things. I've got to go down in my basement. I'm going to give Lorraine Hamilton my, when I got, remember the old WOR? They gave the fans voted the most valuable player of a year. I got it in '84, and they gave you that nice glass round, and it had a WOR or sports channel, I'm not sure. And then diamonds, the little small diamonds and baguettes, it had the New York Met logo.
Very nice.
So I'm going to...
Reyes cranks one foul.
I got to go down and get it. I've just been remiss to go down in the basement and look through all that stuff.
Hey, Keith, what do you do with all those awards? I mean, do you have them out? Do you have them downstairs at a special place? What do you do with them?
I have my MVP out, and I'm very proud of that. That's proudly displayed on the wall. My silver bat is in a closet. One of my golden gloves is raised at the line drive to left. One of my gold gloves is displayed in the den, and the other 10 are down in the basement.
An MVP award, what do you get for that?
You get a nice round plaque. It's beautiful.
And they gave you the whole plaque, not just half of it?
No, they gave Willie one too. So actually, when I'm long and gone and dead and everybody's forgotten about me, it'll be a trivia question forever. You know that.
Oh, yeah. Sounds you.
Yep.
Never happen again.
Never happen again.
Here's Jesus Feliciano with 2 outs. Single to center his first time up.
And I will die eventually here.
You think so? You're too mean to that.
Keith, I asked you the question because I've been through cleaning basements before. It's probably, your situation probably a little different than, say, mine, where you go downstairs and you find old baseball cards and used Play-Doh. Oh, hey, look, another gold glove. What else we got here? That type of thing.
Yeah, you're too funny.
If you get to take the behind-the-scenes tour in Cooperstown, it's kind of like that. They've got a whole basement and back room filled with stuff that's not on display. It's like, oh, yeah, here's Ty Cobb's cleats. Pretty awesome.
There you see David Wright with his more level swing as he practices, setting up for his next at-bat. One of the things you do when you're in the on-deck circle is, one, get loose and usually use a heavier bat. Some even use sledgehammers. And of course, you take those practice swings to get your back in shape and get ready to go. There's a heavy bat right there, and it's all taped up, and it stays right there, and it's passed on from player to player. And a lot of players use this where they have the heavy weight on the end of the bat and also on the early part of the left.
Feliciano takes one the other way, takes the turn and holds. So Feliciano is 2 for 2. Mets are hitting some balls hard against Scott Baker. Now Wright comes up with 2 out and a runner aboard. David singled to center and stole a base his first time, pushing that average closer to 300.
What's really important with David Wright is the fact he leads the National League in runs batted in. The average doesn't really mean that much. It's most overrated of all the stats that they have. On-base percentage supersedes the average by far because it includes walks and being hit by pitch balls. And you're on base more often than just with base hits.
And David started the day 10th in the National League in on-base percentage.
There I am. It's not even dirty. Did you ever catch a ball then?
Well, Ralph, when you're a Gold Glove, your glove never gets dirty.
Oh, is that what
it's always immaculately
clean? I didn't know that.
It is beautiful. It's a beautiful trophy.
It is.
Do they all look exactly the same?
Yes, they do. Different photograph though of your. They use the year of the team, your publicity shot, your headshot.
Baker keeping the ball away from Wright. Fastball slider to start him off, and it's 0-2. 28-year-old Scott Baker out of Oklahoma State. Number 2 pick by the Twins back in 2003. Really has emerged the last 2 seasons. Could get Wright to chase that one. It's 1-2.
What did they give Dick Stewart as their first baseman? I know he had a license plate that said E3. I know he drove around with that because I saw that.
Shows a good sense of humor.
And then when he went to Boston and played there, said he was the MVP of the club, and they said, why? He said, well, I struck out a lot. They said, you sure did. You know, the leg and strikeouts. He said, yeah, but that way I don't hit him to double plays.
So Dick couldn't run.
He wouldn't run. I think he might have been able to if he would have tried.
Affectionately known as Dr. Strangeglove.
He had 66 home runs in Lincoln, Nebraska 1 year in Class C ball, I believe it was.
He was a big, strong guy, right?
And he always signed his name, Dick 66 Stewart.
No!
Even after he was in the major leagues.
Oh, how funny.
Well, not too many guys with 66 home runs.
Oh, you're right.
At least not back then.
A guy named Joe Hauser, I think he had 67.
In New Mexico, right? Somewhere?
Oh, that was Bowman that did that in New Mexico. I think he had 73.
Yeah.
One time, Tony Lazaria played with the Yankees at 60, playing for Salt Lake City. But, of course, those elevations there were like a mile high.
David's worked his way back into the count at 2-2. The sun starts filtering through. Feliciano runs and Wright fouls it off. So Feliciano, who has not stolen base since his arrival in the big leagues, taking off.
You know, you might wonder why he would be going. He's not known as a base stealer by any means of the imagination. But you want a runner, actually, a better runner, to go on situations where you can keep out of the double play. In this case, of course, there's 2 men out, but.
And the breaking ball sits inside. And so a full count to Wright after Baker had him 0-2. When David first came up, this was his normal turn at bat. 0-2, getting to 3-2. And then he generally hit a drive into right center field.
He was a good two-strike hitter in the early days.
So now Feliciano will run. Kadire playing behind him. 3-2 to right. Struck him out with a slider. So Baker gets right. 4th strikeout for Baker. Still no score after 3. Let's check in with Matt Cerrone from MetsBlog.com at the Verizon studio for an update on what the fans are thinking. To you by Bob's Discount Furniture. Only 4 days left until the grand opening of the Manhattan location off the FDR Drive at 117th Street. Go to mybobs.com for details. Joe Mauer leads off, tries to bunt his way on, and drops it down foul. How many catchers do you ever see try and bunt for a base hit?
Well, not many catchers can run well, and one that I think of all the time is Mickey Cochran. Played for the Tigers, and he was a leadoff batter as a catcher for the Tigers.
I think of John Stearns.
John Stearns could run, and he sold about 20-some bases one year.
John Stearns would put down a bunt in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You know, we talked earlier and throughout the series about Mauer and the difficulties that he's had in his new ballpark. Has not yet hit a home run at Target Field as he shoots that one toward the middle, but Reyes playing over that way, there to make the 360 and throw him out. Nicely done by Reyes for the first out.
Well, the shift was really well used right here. Base hit normally right through the middle, and look where Reyes fields that ball. Actually on the second base side.
Well, Reyes has been playing great defense, Ralph. He has just got his leg strength back. He's getting better jumps than I've ever seen Jose in his career, anticipating balls to his left or right off the bat.
Now Michael Kadire pulls one, and David Wright back on his heels, able to grab it. The wide throw, and Davis with the stretch to get him.
What a play by Wright at third base. He didn't know he caught that ball. Look in your other hand, you might find a Watts type play. And of course, you can play first base by the first baseman.
That was Olay, too.
David probably had time to set and make a stronger throw.
But you got that man over there who's got good footwork around the bag, good hands. Mike Davis.
Delman Young takes it off the plate for ball one. So we were talking about Mauer and the fact that he has struggled in his new ballpark. Do you guys remember a time when players in your era had to adjust to a certain ballpark or make allowances for a smaller or a larger ballpark?
No question about it. And the ballparks in the old days were much, much bigger than they are right now. In fact, in center field, for example, in Forbes Field in Pittsburgh, it was 456 feet to center field. You couldn't hit a home run over the center field fence in those days. Another place was playing in Boston with a short fence in left field.
Third strikeout for John Neese. He's on a roll. He's retired 10 Twins in a row. We've got a scoreless game going to the bottom of the fourth. Mike Davis leads off in the home fourth inning and takes ball one. Davis struck out his first time up. It'll be Davis, then Bay and Barajas for the Mets in the home fourth. And he hits one up the middle of base hit. So Mike Davis has the Mets' fifth hit of the afternoon.
Davis continues to get his base hits. This is his 60th hit so far of the year, and he came up after the season started.
And you're right, Ralph, about how he drops his hands. He also drops his hands and brings them way inside, too.
Big movement.
It's a long way for that bat to get around. But, hey, he's doing a terrific job so far.
And they say timing is everything, and the shorter your swing, the better off you are. You can wait longer, pick up the pitch better, all the things that you could do and should do if you can.
Jason Bay struck out his first time up. The Mets have the leadoff man on for the first time in the ballgame, trying to break this scoreless tie. Certainly Neese has been more impressive than Baker so far, but Baker's kept the Mets off the board. And Bay pops one up behind the plate. Maurer gives a look, and he's under it and grabs it. So Bay's retired for the first out. Jason's starting to hear a few boos. There have not been many of those this year, and I think that's in deference to two things. One, that the Mets have played so well, and two, that Bay has played so hard.
He's played hard, he's hustled, he's played a good outfield. I can see it's getting to him. You know what? I think the best what the doctor ordered for Jason, it might just be, and we got a little ways to go, is 3 days off on an all-star break, getting away from the game for 72 hours. I wouldn't pick up a bat. Just get completely away from it and come fresh with a clean slate for the second half.
How about 3 games in Puerto Rico in a bandbox? You think that might help?
It would help. But he didn't. He's not putting the ball in the air. I mean, gets his base hits are on the ground. But you can't hit home runs unless you elevate that ball.
Give you another plus, too. The Mets are playing 3 games with the Marlins. No Josh Johnson.
That's right. He got beat yesterday in a tough one.
He got beat 2-1.
2-1.
Boy, he's a good pitcher.
He got beat 2-1 by San Diego when, as Barajas fouls one off with a runner at third and the pitcher at the plate. There was a foul fly down the right field line, and the rookie right fielder Mike Stanton went over, draped himself over the railing, and caught it as the go-ahead run scored.
No, you can't do it.
It was only the 5th, but still, it was the pitcher.
Well, it's still a very close game. I mean, there's no runs were being scored. Now you got to let that ball go.
And that was the run that beat Johnson last night. 0-2 to Barajas, who flied to left his first time up. Swing and a miss at the slider. Baker's getting his strikeouts with that pitch. He's got 5 of them this afternoon.
Well, Chase is a bad one here. Never in the strike zone. We've all done that. We've all fished for bad breaking balls.
You know, the average is determined. This is I think, a very astute statement. What minds, if I could say this. You're only as good as your swings at strikes. In other words, don't swing at balls that are not strikes. It's tough enough to hit when you swing at strikes.
This is a guy who could use that advice. Jeff Francoeur, who doubled his first time up.
Oh, another hanger. Woo.
That pitch really was up in his eyes. He said, whoa. And that, when you're a good hitter, the high hanging curveball is the easiest pitch in the world to hit.
The key to hitting a hanging breaking ball, Gary, up in the strike zone is don't get over anxious. Just let it come to you in slow motion and let the ball come to your bat. You want to crush it and you just jump out too quick. You hit it foul.
He drives this one deep left field, looking up as Young at the wall, and it's out of here! Jeff Francoeur with a 2-run homer, and that breaks the ice. It's 2-0 New York. Number 8 for Jeff Francoeur.
Well, 2 hits yesterday, including a bunt, got him out of a long over. A double and a home run this afternoon.
39 and 40 RBI for Mr. Francoeur. Let's see if it's a hanger. Oh, it's a breaking ball, but it's down. He's a low ball hitter.
It's a little bit of this flat slider right there. They hit out of the ballpark, and there was no doubt about it. He might be the streakiest hitter I ever saw in my life. He is either really, really good or is really, really bad.
Well, good balance.
Look at a great swing. The left leg was straight. The weight was back. Really a good swing there. He has got great ability, this guy.
The proponent of swing hard, something good might happen.
Well, that's the old Woody Held theory. Swing hard in case you hit it. Yeah.
For every home run hit at Citi Field this season, Stuart Rahr and Kinray's Home Runs for Charity program will donate $1,000 to the Mets Foundation. Kinray has donated $25,000 so far in 2010.
Well, he knows it.
Give me a new one.
The breaking ball was down, but it had too much plate and right into the wheelhouse. Right in the wheelhouse, and we'll give you a look at the IOTV pitch differential here. Watch the glove where it's set up. That's a hanger, folks.
Right, you couldn't be more in the middle, that's for sure.
Full extension of the arms, it's right there in the wheelhouse.
Francoeur's 8th home run, the 13th given up by Baker this year.
Isn't that one of our programs, the wheelhouse? It is, isn't it?
Nice promo. 2-1 to Tejada, and the fastball beat him 2-2.
Does that mean we can can that promo since we did it early?
Oh, you're saying that they owe us one? Of course, it won't be on until tomorrow.
That's right, it's Sunday. You know, Phillies all of a sudden with Jimmy Rollins back, they're starting to hit. They're up 4-0 early in Toronto.
Of course, that game is at Toronto in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Toronto bats last in that game in Philly.
So far, they've split the first 2 of that series. The Blue Jays winning last night 5-1 behind Sean Markham. Phil's 2 games behind the Mets, 3.5 behind the Braves, despite all their troubles. 3-2 to Tejada, and he lines one, base hit. So Tejada's now hit in 10 straight games.
Another hanger. This guy is throwing more hangers than you can shake a stick at. Oh, geez, nice and flat. When it's flat, folks, it stays on the same plane. It doesn't break down. It breaks from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock on your clock dial. Yeah, so as a hitter, particularly when it's breaking away from you, you know out of his hand the elevation, and you can start your swing on that elevation and anticipate the break away from you, and you're going to be on the same level, elevation.
The only way you make a mistake in the ball that's flat is to hit it on the end of the bat or inside, on the inside part of the trademark.
Well, Tejada came up with a reputation as a glove guy who might be a little overmatched in the big leagues. Well, now he's got a 10-game hitting streak. It's the longest hitting streak for a Mets rookie since Jason Phillips in 2003.
You know, change the things around. Today's the anniversary of a pitcher that pitched for the Mets that set the record for the most consecutive losses in the history of Major League Baseball. A guy named Young.
Anthony Young.
Anthony Young. He lost his 24th straight game for the Mets.
Wound up losing 27 in a row. And when he finally won, he gave up a run in the 10th inning that would have been his 28th straight loss, but then the Mets got 2 in the bottom of the 10th, and he finally got a win.
Boy, they were doing everything. They had rabbit puts out, and they had black cats that they pushed around. I mean, everything to break that losing streak.
Strike 3 called. Nice down looking to end the inning, but the Mets jump out into the lead with one swing of the bat by Jeff Francoeur. Line drive, 2-1 homer, 8th of the year for Francoeur, and Nice and the Mets with a 2-0 lead after 4.
Nothing thanks to Jeff Francoeur's 2-run home run there. And when you talk about this Mets team, they're playing good baseball, trying to win a rubber game today. They haven't done much of that, and trying to get into first place. And it brings up what will be a very interesting decision for the Mets going forward. Trade deadline still far away, but of course the hot topic is Cliff Lee. And will the Mets go in on a rental player? Well, number one is they love him. They absolutely love him, and they're very interested in Cliff Lee about those discussions. But I think there are a couple things to weigh here. Cliff Lee has said openly he will not negotiate a contract in season. He wants to play the free agent market. So barring a change of mind, it seems like he is going to be a rental player and then test the free agent waters. Now, he may not be available right away. I mean, the Mariners went out and traded for Russell Branyan. The thing started off with Danny Valencia against Jonathan Nice here in the 5th. They just went out and traded for Russell Branyan, so that seems like a move where maybe they feel like they've got a little bit more time for a last-minute run before trading Lee. And I think the Mets basically feel as they want Lee, they love to have him, they don't mind having a rental player, but I don't think Henry Mejia is going to be a part of a package for a rental player. I think Mejia would be a deal that brings back a guy with a contract that you're going to have for a couple of years. I don't think they part with Henry Mejia for Cliff Lee for a 2-month basis. And guys, that brings up the topic. Do you trade for a rental player, even if he is as good as Cliff Lee? And what are the limits that you're, I guess, put in your head that this is as far as you'll go in getting a guy like that?
Well, I think that the trend in baseball over the last 10 years or so is Valencia hits it out to center field, and he's got a leadoff hit. That snaps a string of 10 in a row retired by Nice, only the second hit he's given up today. I think the trend in baseball has been away from teams mortgaging their future for a player who will help them for 2 months.
Well, it's always a gamble, whatever you do, whether you hang on to a player or get rid of a player. There's never a guarantee on a top prospect making it. The baseball, more than any other sport, is really a roll of the dice. You don't know if your top prospects are going to make it. And so, general managers, if it turns out to be a bad trade, or things don't work out, they're the ones that are going to lose their job over it.
But I think the other piece of that is that the finances of the game being what they are and the salaries for veteran players being what they are, I think teams are more and more hanging on to their best prospects because there's a little more cost certainty there. They're able to pay them whatever they want for their first 3 years in the big leagues, and that makes it easier for them to figure out how to put together a team around a big-time player. That one knocked down in the hole by Reyes, but he has no play. It's an infield hit for Repko, and the Twins have 2 men on.
Gary, on that topic, I also think that the Mets, having as many homegrown guys as they have right now on the team, I mean, the whole infield is homegrown. Angel Pagan, Nice. So I think that is a factor, too, in exactly backing up your point that, when you look at that and see these homegrown guys here and performing, I think that strengthens that point of view.
At the same time, sure, you'd love to have Cliff Lee, but if you can make a deal where you give up maybe 2 or 3 lesser prospects, more fringe-type players, but the question is, at that point, would Seattle want that?
Exactly.
Well, but then again, if he's going to walk away at the end of the year, are they better off holding on to him and getting the 2 draft picks that they get as compensation if he left as a free agent, rather than whatever they can get in the trade market before July 31st?
Well, the one thing I have going for them, when Lee came to the Philadelphia Phillies, he proved one thing: he could pitch.
Well, he won the ball games in the World Series. He beat the Yanks. Also, too, Garrett, look at when the Mets had homegrown Seaver, Kuzman, Matlack.
Ryan.
And, so you've got Nice. Let's take a look at Mejia. I like Mejia's stuff. Let's see what he can do. Then you got youth, and you've got something going down the road for a long, long time.
But the question is, what's going to get you into the postseason this year? And that's got to be the question. Do you have enough pitching this year to get you there without bringing in a Cliff Lee or somebody of that ilk?
That is the big question right there. And the Mets are in position here at the All-Star break coming up.
Punto grounds one to the right side. Ike will have to feed it to Nice, and he gets the bag in front of Punto for the first out. Ball hit too slowly to think about going anywhere else, and now the Twins have runners at second and third.
I'm not so sure about that, Garrett. I think he could have got the lead runner at second base. Didn't even give it a thought. We'll take a closer look. Now, when this ball's hit, he throws right now, he's got him. And that keeps the double play in order, and you're out of the inning. Always to watch this. Plant and throw, you got him. I'm sorry. That's just a young mistake right there. I would have gotten the guy the lead runner. Now a ground ball, double play, you're out of the inning, no runs.
Just to play devil's advocate, Refko, who is the runner going from first to second, is pretty fast.
But he had him.
So runners at second and third, but you got the pitcher up now with 1 out. So if you're Ron Gardenhire, I don't think you're going to ask Baker, who's had very few at-bats, to try and squeeze a run in.
Well, they end the infield in at first and third and back at second and short. And this is kind of interesting. You usually would know this. Keep the shortstop and second baseman back, who don't want to give up 2 runs on a base hit.
Agreed, Ralph.
Baker struck out his first time up. He is 1 for 19 in his major league career. And this is where the American League teams having the pitcher batting in these non-DH games really hurts the AL team.
Well, Baker struck out, as Gary said, on a lot of breaking stuff his first at bat and didn't have a chance. You got to believe he's going to get more. There's another one. Oh, where's that?
You're right there. That ball looked like it was on the corner.
Jerry Davis gave up on that pitch, the home plate umpire.
Well, when you talk about a game of inches, well, it might have been around the plate, kid.
That's the only thing it could have been.
He's throwing a ton of curveballs now in the middle innings. And there's another one outside, 2-1.
I mean, as far as the corners being in, you got to have Wright in this situation because Wright's got to keep the runner at third honest in case they do put a squeeze on. But pitchers usually hit to the opposite field, and with Davis in, that leaves a big hole between first and second.
The big thing right here is a strikeout. You need that strikeout badly.
Oh, I think he's going to get it. This guy, Baker,
doesn't look good.
He doesn't look good.
No.
Hard span on deck. Neese has struck out 3 today. He's walked 1, given up just 3 hits. Now the 2-2, and he got him with a curveball. So Neese disposes of Baker for the second time, keeping the runners at second and third. Now they're at 2 out.
Well, not even close to being a strike, but pitchers don't hit, particularly in that league.
Yesterday, something extraordinary happened as far as a pitcher hitting here at Citi Field. Carl Pavano pitched a shutout and got 2 hits. You know the last time an American League pitcher did that? Pitched a complete game shutout, got 2 hits? 1972. Clyde Wright. That was the year before they started the DH. September of '72. The last American League pitcher to throw a shutout and get 2 hits in the same game.
That's hard to believe.
Never has happened in interleague play.
You know, there have some good hitting pitchers been around back in those days. Sharma was a great hitter. Red Ruffing of the Yankees holds a record of 38 home runs as a hitter. And Wes Farrell, going way back, was a great home run hitter.
Bob Gibson was a great hitter.
And Bob, except he broke his leg one time. Remember that thing? He swung on and missed the ball and broke his leg.
1-1 to Span. You know the last pitcher to get 5 hits in a game?
No idea.
Mel Stottlemyre.
Mel got 5 hits?
Yeah.
1964, his rookie year.
Wow. You go, Mel.
Heck, if a pitcher gets 5 at bats in a game, that's pretty good.
That's really, they say if you have 4 bats, you're doing a good job.
1-1 to Span with the tying runs in scoring position and 2 out. Span has grounded out twice today. And back off the plate, 2-1. Span is hitting .356 this year with runners in scoring position. 6th in the American League.
That's
He's got
pretty.
a couple out there now.
That's pretty low, I think. You know, usually I think, well, maybe not. Runners in scoring position means a runner at second and third. And that's a pretty good time to be at the plate.
You've got to thrive. You got to want that.
Yeah,
don't
you sure do. That's what you want. That's what you're being paid for.
Slow ground ball. Davis handles this one. Neese covers. Sign retired. John Neese faces his first crisis of the afternoon and survives it quite nicely with a 2-0 lead halfway through. Here's your Toyota text ball. With the USA loss yesterday, are you still interested in the World Cup? I know my vote. A for yes, B for no. Text 57508 or visit sny.tv.
Which way do you vote? No?
That would be a no.
I would say the same thing.
I mean, I have to tell you, I got interested really for the first time ever.
Me too.
This year, but
I played soccer when I was in the service. It's a great game to play. I just don't really get with it when you watch it.
Reyes pops one up and Punto puts it away. So Reyes now 0 for 3. Well, I played high school, and
were you any good?
I was a goalie.
Well, it's a good job
for a really good team. Yeah. So the ball never came my way.
So they like
best most boring job in the world.
Was it like putting you in right field?
It was even worse.
You know, it was a great goalie was Steve Greenberg, the ex-assistant commissioner of baseball and also a ball player in the major leagues. And the son of Hank Greenberg. He was a great goalie. Ideal. He's also on the board here. I forgot about that.
Jesus Feliciano 2 for 2. Tries to dump another one into left, and it falls fair and bounces into the stands for a ground rule double. And Feliciano is 3 for 3. Looks like Young got a little shy near that wall.
You're right, Garrett. He wasn't going to dive for it, that's for sure.
I think the slide is probably the proper play there, right?
I don't know whether there is a play in that play. Yep. You've got to get hurt.
Yep.
To do something there.
Feliciano, a single to center, a single down the left field line, and now he doubles down the left field line. So a 3 for 3 afternoon. So he's had 2 3-hit games, Feliciano has, in the last 4 days. And he's only got 9 hits in the major leagues. It's pretty amazing. So the Mets have their 8th hit off Baker. Now David Wright will try and get him in. And David hits one foul. David singled and stole a base in the first, struck out in the third, 1 for 2.
No.
It's hard to see through a shirt.
That is not the unknown comic.
0-2 to Wright. Let's take a look at our Acela 5th inning recap. John Neese, after the rain delay struggle in his last start, has come back very strong today, shutting out the Twins over the first 5. And Jeff Francoeur with a 2-run homer for the only runs of the game. Oh, 2 to Wright, who's up to 317 with runners in scoring position this year. And he puts that slider foul. David struck out on that pitch his last time up. Mike Davis on deck. Baker struck out 6 today. 2 starts back against Colorado. He struck out a career high 12. And he struck out 7 against Milwaukee in his last start, but he got whacked around for 5 runs and 9 hits in that game. And then he fouls off the fastball. Feliciano's done a nice job these last few days filling in for Angel Pagan. Pagan hopes to be able to start tomorrow night when the Mets are in San Juan. Pagan and Feliciano, 2 of the 4 Puerto Rican players on the Mets club, along with Alex Cora and Pedro Feliciano. And it will be an enormous thrill for them to be playing on their home island. Wright lays off. Stopped it in time. Sam Holbrook with the call, 1-2.
Puerto Rico had a minor league club for a long time. They played in the International League.
And Havana in that league too, didn't they?
ball players came out of Puerto Rico and Havana. Then, of course, known for the amateur baseball, quotations on each side of amateur.
Hit in the air to deep left field. Back goes Young, looking up, and it's out of here! Two-run homer for David Wright. His 14th of the year, and it's 4-0 New York. Said it looked like it was only a matter of time before the Mets get to Baker, and they have.
Oh, just another hanger right here on the tee. And David all over it. Beautiful. Baker never threw one fastball inside to David Wright in that at bat with a head 0-2. Well, you keep living on that outside corner, you're going to get hurt if you throw a helicopter up there.
Well, the Mets with a pair of two-run homers. Frank Core in the fourth, and now Wright in the fifth.
Well, Wright's starting to stay in now on that breaking ball. Much better, Ralph.
And his 60th and 61st run batted in of the early season.
For every home run hit by David Wright at Citi Field this season, Stuart Rohr and Kinray's Home Runs for Charity program will donate $5,000 to the David Wright Foundation. Kinray has donated $20,000 so far in 2010. Now Baker ready to take a stroll. Behind on Davis 2-0 after giving up the home run. Twins bullpen has not revved up yet, but it looks like that's about to change. Baker's now given up 4 runs and 9 hits. Change up for a strike, 2-1. Alex Burnett, young right-hander, gets up.
And Davis hits one deep to right center. Ripko looking up, and it's out of here. A long home run, almost to the bridge. Wow. Number 9 for Ike Davis. Look at those bridge terrace seats. What a shot. Back-to-back home runs for Wright and Davis, make it 5-0 New York.
I think it hit the top of the beam on that bridge out there in right center field. And Davis again showing he has the power to hit the ball a long, long way.
He just set up on that fastball. Wasn't he, Ralph? Just jumped all over it, right down the pipe.
It's right about the same territory where his first big league home run went a couple of months ago. Rick Anderson, the pitching coach, out to talk to Baker, who's now given up 3 home runs this afternoon.
3 rockets. Yep, you know it.
This time he didn't bother looking.
Well,
not for a while.
Well, he's hoping. It's a big ballpark.
Not that big.
Well, too much middle. And not down. Belt high. Full extension.
So Alex Burnett continues to warm up in the Minnesota bullpen. Wright and Davis have gone back-to-back. Now Jason Bay sits in.
There's a fastball right down the middle, and he swings and misses.
It's only the second time this year the Mets have hit back-to-back home runs. Davis and Barajas went back-to-back here on May the 7th against the Giants. Two and one to Bay. With Barajas on deck. Keeps it away, no swing, 3-1.
And on the 2-1 count, he threw him breaking ball, what you might call a slider or a nickel curve or whatever you whether you like it or not.
3-1. And it's foul back. By the way, you're wondering the last time the Mets hit 3 consecutive home runs. 2007 at Shea Stadium against the Phillies. Delgado, Wright, and Loduca hit back-to-back-to-back.
I remember that.
Delgado, of course, from Puerto Rico, the home run king of Puerto Rico. With more home runs than anybody that came out of Puerto Rico in the major leagues.
3-2. Hit toward the gap in right center field. No home run, but a base hit past the diving Repko. Bay around second. He's going to try for third. Next best thing to 3 straight homers. 2 homers and a triple. Jason Bay's 5th triple of the year. 4 straight extra base hits for New York.
Well, that's a good pitch right there by Baker. Fastball knee-high outside corner, and that's going to be it for him. Ron Gardenhire coming out with a yank. And as usual, Jason Bay always busting out of the box.
And for Jason Bay, it is his 1,000th career hit. He becomes the 10th Canadian player ever to reach 1,000 hits. Scott Baker will head for the exits. Alex Bennett replaces him. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Call yourself a sports fan, you got to get direct TV.
Well, there's David Wright's home run. Now we're just going to show the next home run. Same spot, opposite side of the plate. And there's the trips. And this was actually not a bad pitch. It was knee-high outside corner.
22-year-old Alex Burnett takes over the pitching. The infield comes in with Rod Barajas at the plate.
So,
and he takes off the plate for ball 1.
What I've seen of Scott Baker, if you look at Alex Burnett's numbers, he just lived too much on the outside corner.
Burnett's numbers brought to you by Harris. Barajas today 0 for 2, flying to left, struck out. Bay at third and 1 out, and Barajas pops one up. Now we're coming back for a look, but that's in the crowd.
You know, you watch him pitch, we're talking about Baker. His slider was really flat and had no bite to it. And if you're a hitter, you got to know that and eat it up.
Well, you might be able to get through the lineup once or twice, but I think third time through, you're kind of like ducks on a pond.
Just like fish in a barrel.
Oh, yeah, so that's a better one. It's much better.
1-1 to Barajas.
What's wrong with ducks?
fouls that one off. Alex Burnett coming into the game as he walked in from the bullpen. The PA, by coincidence, I'm sure, played Surfing USA by the Beach Boys. And he's from Huntington Beach, California. Probably seen a surfboard this time.
One of the great beaches in Los Angeles, Huntington Beach.
There are very few bad ones out there.
Yes, very scenic.
1-2 to Barajas. Ripped foul. He'll be heading for a beach tonight. Keith, he'll be on the beach tomorrow.
Tomorrow, be too late. We get in too late tonight, right?
10:30. I mean, it'll be beautiful walk on the beach in the evening.
And there's also a full moon out there, so you might be in pretty good shape. Beach and full moon?
Keith's eyes are lighting up.
No, I'm really trying to stay out of trouble lately.
How's it going?
He's got to work on it a little bit.
Atlanta's getting beat 6-0 in the fourth.
Tigers put some offense together today against Tommy Hanson. Here's the 1-2. Line right center, base hit for Barajas. Day trots in with a 6th New York run. 5 straight net hits have produced 4 runs in the 5th inning. And it's 6-0 New York.
And that closes the book on Mr. Baker right there.
Baker gives up 6 runs and 11 hits over 4 1/3.
Nice hitting, another flat slider. It's away, folks, but it's belt high. It's up, and it's the same elevation. Sweeping across the plate. It's easy to get a beat on. No, not easy. Easier.
Yeah.
Now Francoeur, who opened the scoring with a 2-run homer in the 4th. And he swings at the high fastball from Burnett. Speaking of Burnett, watch A.J. Burnett at all last night?
No.
I don't understand how in the world he is as unsuccessful as he has been. His stuff is unbelievable.
Location.
Yes. And last night he walked 6 batters in 3 innings.
Well, that'll do it.
That's worthy to see. Kiss of death right there.
At times he can be so dominant, but lately not at all. Alex Burnett, no relation. And the rookie right-hander's 0-2 is upstairs. 1-2 to Francoeur. Alex Burnett, 12th round pick by the Twins in 05. Talking about homegrown players. This organization is full of them. 15 homegrown players among the 25 on their roster. And Francoeur just missed another extra base hit.
Oh, come on, down there. Let's go. Make that play. Took a bad hop. He took a bad hop. I'll cut him some slack.
You know, when they got Minnesota into the major leagues, it was a AAA prime club at one time with the Red Sox, and they moved the Washington franchise from Washington, D.C. to Minneapolis. And Griffith was the owner of the club.
Francoeur has his 3rd hit of the day, and the Mets just keep on raking. That is 6 straight hits. A single, double, and home run for Francoeur this afternoon. And Burnett has not helped. 2 batters, 2 hits.
It was Calvin Griffin, wasn't it?
Calvin Griffin was the man who moved the team there. And they put a team in Washington, D.C. And Ted Williams was the manager of that team in Washington. And they moved that team to Texas.
So Washington's on its 3rd try now. National League for the first time. From Montreal in 05.
So baseball has been moving around quite a bit since the start of the real moving of franchises a long time ago when the Boston Braves moved from Boston to Milwaukee. 1953, and that was the start of it. From Milwaukee, they moved to Atlanta. So it's been, and now they're talking about moving the divisions around in baseball. That's going to be really simple. They want to move and be able to do it more than once. In other words, put the weaker teams with the weaker teams and the stronger teams with the strong. It's going to be something else, and they're talking about that.
Here's Tejada trying to keep it moving. Tejada 1 for 2 today. Now has a 10-game hitting streak. Mets have put together 6 straight hits. And Burnett misses high ball 1. Mets had just 3 hits yesterday against Carl Pomano. They've got 13 hits this afternoon.
Mets are 9th in team batting average. They have averaged a .259 average over the year.
It's funny, you were talking earlier about how little batting average means. Last year, the Mets led the league in hitting. This year, they're 9th in the league and they're scoring more runs.
Strange game, isn't it?
Good point. 1-2 to Tejada with John Neese on deck. The last start, Neese was staked to a 10-0 lead, but couldn't hang around long enough for the win, in part because of an hour rain delay. Here he's already got his 5 innings in, and again he's got himself a big lead. And it's 2-2 to Tejada.
Hottest team in baseball right now, the Chicago White Sox. White Sox came into today's action with 11 straight wins. And at one time this year, they were willing to toss in the towel.
It's the longest winning streak since 1961. Two and 2 to Tejada, and he takes it high and a full count. And Burnett still has not retired batter since coming on in relief. Barajas is at second, Francoeur at first. They both singled against the relief pitcher after the exiting pitcher Baker had given up 4 straight extra base hits. Feliciano started with a double, Wright and Davis homered, and Bay triple. 3-2 to Tejada. Popped it up. Shallow right. Angling in his rep. Go a long run. And he makes the sliding catch. But he was getting no help at all. Neither the first baseman Kadiron nor the second baseman Hudson made any move to get there.
You're right. This is your ball. He's calling it right now, but he had no way of knowing he had no help there. Now Hudson's up the middle, but he's got to make a play for it here, doesn't he?
He gave up quickly.
First baseman had no chance on that one. Yeah, really, Hudson had no chance. That was a right fielder's ball.
So now Neese will bat with 2 out and 2 on. So the Twins finally secure the second out. Reyes made the first out, leading off the inning, popping up to shortstop. That was about a half an hour ago. And now Tejada, the number 8 hitter, makes the second out. Neese has been up twice, struck out both times, swinging once, looking once. He slashes one foul. John has 3 hits this year. The lefty Ron Mayhay is up in the Minnesota bullpen. We saw him in the opening game of the series. .94 for Burnett, 1-1.
I don't buy that 94. I don't buy it.
That's kind of radar gun they use on the highways.
1-2 to Neese.
It speeds up.
I think you got a nice hitting speed. so critical, so cruel.
I've seen you drive, Ralph. Sometimes that 94 is legit. To Denise in the dirt.
One way to keep from walking batters is to give up a lot of base hits, and they're doing that in this game.
That's true. We mentioned the Twins' fewest walks allowed in the majors, and well, they haven't walked anybody today. And ball 3. So another full count.
Wow.
This time to the opposing pitcher.
Don't want to do that.
So Barajas and Frank Core will be in motion. Mike Anderson looking rather exasperated.
We'll do it.
He is the pitching coach of the Minnesota Twins. Of course, Gardner, our former Met, the manager.
And ball 4, and Neese draws a walk to fill the bases. Rick Anderson, who pitched for the Mets as well, watches the first walk of the afternoon by a Twins pitcher. That's a rare event. Far out in front, and fewest walks per 9 innings.
Well, that'll get you sent down to the minors. Can't
so
do
the
that.
Mets have batted around. Reyes, who led off the inning, will bat again, but not against Mr. Burnett, who faced 4 batters and retired only 1. They'll bring in the lefty Mayhay. That'll turn Reyes around and make him a right-hand batter. So the Twins make another pitching change, with the Mets now leading 6-0 in the 5th.
There's Mayhay's numbers, the veteran. He has bounced around. Had a relief appearance in this series. Obviously not yesterday. Mr. Pavano took care of the bullpen yesterday with that 3-hit complete game shutout.
Stats brought to you by Harris. You see the lefties hitting just 200 against him, but Reyes will bat right-handed, and the righties are hitting 325 against Mayhay. And Reyes takes a strike. Jose is 0 for 3 today. Tried to bunt his way on and popped one up to the second baseman. Then he lined hard to left before popping up to short his last time up. Now bats with the bases loaded, looking to break the game completely open, with the Mets up 6-0 in the 5th. Little tapper up along third, and that'll go foul.
They certainly coming back strongly here after a slow start. He's got 19 stolen bases. One's tied for second. And he's hit 3 base hits.
Need a hubcap? Oh, and 2 to Jose, and he punches one the other way foul.
It was a safety swing right there. Just get rid of the pitch and foul it off. His fanny flies out. Pitch is on the outside part of the plate. He fouls it off. That's when things are going right for you. Instead of popping that ball up.
Rojas at third, Francoeur at second, Neese at first with 2 out. 4 runs home in the inning. Reyes lifts one to right. And back a few strides is Ripko to make the play and end the inning. But 10 Mets came to bat. Reyes wound up making 2 outs in the inning. No outs for Wright and Davis as David Wright and Ike Davis go back-to-back. Second back-to-back homer for the Mets this year. And it's 6-0 New York. About his first mini-camp, plus hear about the advice he's been getting from Rivas and Cromartie on an all-new Jets Nation tonight at 7 only on SNY. To answer our AT&T trivia question, we asked who has the most combined wins, who's pitched for the Mets and Twins. Well, it could be Koosman, it could be Viola, it could be Santana. And it is Jerry Koosman, who was from Minnesota. Remember who the Mets traded into the Twins for? Jesse Orozco.
Good scouting.
Koosman should have won the Cy Young Award the year that Randy Jones won it. He was a great pitcher.
1976 was that? He won 20 games?
Yeah.
The next year, he lost 20 games.
Ah, good job, girls.
2-0 to Orlando Hudson.
The Mets got Koosman when they didn't want to let him go. He owed money to the Mets. He had bought a car for like $300 in the minor leagues. And he had paid off about $100 of the car. And said, let's keep him one more month and get our money back. And they did, and he got hot, and they kept him.
2-1 to Hudson, foul back, 2-2.
I think Koosman got his 20th win that year against the St. Louis Cardinals. What year was that, Jerry?
76.
And I was on that team. It was the last start of the year for him, I believe. It was a day game right on a weekend, right here. Not here.
Across the parking
Across
lot.
the parking lot.
Hudson has one of the 3 hits off John Neese today. Single to right back in the first. And he hits this one foul.
And one big out he got was probably the biggest out in the history of the New York Mets. He got the final out of the '69 World Series on a fly ball to left field that Cleon Jones caught. And Koosman thought it was going to be a home run. It was hit by Davey Johnson.
Karma. Who knew? Davey was going to come back and 17 years later manage the only other World Series championship in Mets history.
1986.
Joe Mauer on deck, and then Michael Kadire for the Twins. 3-2 to Hudson, fouled away. Neese was just out on the bases in the last inning. He in his last start, when he came back after the rain delay and had the huge lead, Jerry Manuel felt as though he was just trying to get through the innings, that he was not pitching once he had the big lead. See how he fares here.
And he didn't.
Line over short and a base hit for Hudson, his second hit of the day. And so the 4th Minnesota hit. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Tigers with that lead, and Justin Verlander on the mound today. That's a pretty good combination. Detroit a game and a half behind Minnesota. The Mets a game and a half behind Atlanta. Here's Mauer, who's 0 for 2. Mets have done a pretty good job against Mauer in this series. He's just 2 for 10. Last time up, Reyes ranged up the middle to take a base hit away from him.
First catcher to ever lead the American League in batting average.
He's done it 3 times now.
He's something else. Of course, you get to think about catchers like Bill Dickey of the Yankees. He was a great hitter. Along with that, ever led the Yankees for the league in hitting.
Mickey Cochran.
Mickey Cochran, great hitter. Of course, the big thing about catchers, they don't play a big full season unless they're unusual. I think what the guy with the Cubs played 158 games 1 year.
Randy
Hundley. And also the thing about catchers, they usually got bad hands. They're all messed up with crooked fingers and bad fingernails and everything else. You guys were talking about knuckleball pitchers the other day and how they sharpened their nails. We used to watch Stutz London. There was a great knuckleball pitcher standing in the trainer's room with a file, and he filed his nails all the time. You have to just exactly the right length.
You got to dig those nails into the ball throwing.
Yeah, right. The knuckleballs are a misnomer. They throw up with their fingertips.
Ball 4, and Mauer's on with a walk, the second of the day by Neese. So, coming back after the long inning and a trip on the bases. Neese has given up a single and a walk. Elmer descends quickly up in the Mets bullpen. And Dan Warth is going to take a trip out to the mound. Remember, it's 90 degrees outside, so they will certainly keep an eye on Neese here at 95 pitches with nobody out in the 6th. Neese threw just 84 in his last start. That was that rain-delayed game against Detroit on Tuesday night. Here's Michael Kadire, who's walked and grounded to third. David Wright made a nice play on a shot by Kadire his last time up. Hazy, hot afternoon in New York. And Kadire takes a strike.
Well, the Mets are going to go down and play in Puerto Rico tomorrow and the next 2 days. It's cool and breezy down there, nice temperatures.
Balmy would be the word.
Balmy fits perfectly.
Hey, I would bet next weekend in Washington it won't exactly be.
Washington, D.C. is tough.
That is one hot city. They built our capital city on a swamp.
And all those rivers going by, Potomac and all that sort of thing.
They had to appease the southern colonies as well as the northern colonies.
Swing and a miss, and Neese has his 5th strikeout of the afternoon as Kadire goes down. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by StubHub, by Subway, Eat Fresh, and by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is Alan Wheeler of Brooklyn. After giving up a single and a walk, Neese strikes out Kadire. Now Delman Young takes a strike. Young is grounded out and struck out today 0 for 2. 1 for 10 in this series. Double play ball at Reyes. Tejada bobbles it and is still able to turn it over. How about that? Ruben Tejada, despite having trouble getting a handle on it, able to complete the 6-4-3 double play. He just keeps on making plays.
Today, Wright has gone deep, Francora has gone deep, Ike Davis has gone deep as they're in front of the Minnesota Twins. You know, it's interesting to find out what guys use what type of bat. The heaviest bat on the Mets belongs to Chris Carter. He uses a 34.5-inch, 34-ounce bat. That is a big one. And usually guys have a little differential between the length and the weight. This time Carter does it. He says he loves it. He uses ash, not maple, because he loves the way the ball explodes off the bat. And he said if he's in a stretch where he's playing the field and playing every single day, he would go down to more like a 34-32 because the bat does tend to get a little heavy by the end of the week. But he likes the heavy bat. He's not all. Actually, other guys have used it in batting practice. Jose Reyes has used it in batting practice. Ruben Tejada used it the other day in batting practice. And his reasoning was that, you know, he wanted to start trying to go the other way a little bit more, and he felt by swinging that heavy bat in batting practice, it kind of slowed him down and made him go the other way. Now, I don't know if that really translates into a game, but they normally go back to the regular bats. I mean, to give you an idea how big that is, Ike Davis, you know, one of the biggest guys on the team, uses a 34-32. So, Keith, 34.5, 34, pretty big bat, right?
That's a heavy bat. Dick Allen used a real heavy bat.
I bet tell you one thing. I beg to disagree with all you guys. You don't know what a heavy bat is.
Ralph, what'd you use, Ralph?
I've used a 42-ounce bat, and Babe Ruth used a 52-ounce bat. And a lot of the old-time players use really big bats, and the reason for it is the hitting spot on the bat that's heavy and big is much wider than it is on a very thin bat, because if you hit the ball off center on a thin-handled bat and a light bat, the bat's going to break and the ball goes nowhere.
Of course, the theory on using smaller bats, lighter bats, is that you're trying to generate more bat speed.
And that's the other side of the coin. And the one thing What has happened, though, Barry Bonds, for example, used a very short bat, about a 32-inch bat, and choked up on the bat, and he had tremendous bat speed. But there's a point of no return with the size of the bats. But the trend is, like you say, is rooted to the lighter bats.
There you are, Ralph.
Okay, that thing could have weighed 42 ounces. I went from 37 to 42.
Looks like a toothpick, Ralph. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Look at the size of that barrel, would you?
Look at the size of that man.
So now you got a difference of opinion.
Well, Ralph, how...
Slow
Sorry,
ground
Gary.
ball, and Feliciano's retired for the first time today.
Gary, sorry about that. Ralph, I just wanted to ask, were there times where you went even heavier, or times when you felt a little weary and maybe went lighter for a week?
Yes, I went lighter when a curveball pitcher was pitching. I'd go to the lighter bat because you have to wait a little bit longer to hit the curveball, and I'd go down to maybe a 37-ounce bat or a 38-ounce bat, depending on what I wanted to use that day. But yes. But for curveball pitchers, I went to a much lighter bat because you want to wait to get the curveball.
Well, that goes against the grain of the philosophy of the guys using the animal's bat to slow it down because it's a heavier bat.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It just goes complete opposite of your philosophy, Ralph. And I never liked to have a bat that I felt swung me. I always thought you can get in bad habits. I would start if I felt the bat was too heavy, then I felt I had to start too soon and start lunging, getting bad habits. I use a light bat. I use a 34.5-inch bat, 32.5 ounce, and I choked up.
Well, you got all kinds of different opinions. Musial was a great hitter.
Right line to center field. David has his third hit of the day. So 3 hits apiece for Feliciano and right. David also with a homer and a couple of RBIs today.
David's got to be close. He's got to be close to 300 now.
3 for 4 today. Now it's 82 hits for the year. David is now batting 300 even.
Well, I told David yesterday in the clubhouse, I said the way you're swinging, where you're at right now RBI-wise, batting average, you got a chance to hit 325 and drive in 140.
That should have made him happy.
He had a big smile on his face.
I guess so. Well, you're a good prognosticator. There's no doubt about that.
Davis with a single and a home run today, 2 for 3. His home run went about 450 feet out to right center, right in front of the Shea Bridge. Davis now with 9 home runs in his rookie season.
This is the 75th game of the season for the Mets. We're 6 away from the official halfway mark.
Well, the All-Star game is coming up soon, and second half of the season will come around, and that's when it counts.
Yes, sir. You start getting into August, September, late July. That's when crunch time.
Keith, it's days like today, hot and humid, really stop. Kind of a day where you'd like to do nothing. That's when you got to really push.
Yep. I love the heat, but when a game gets prolonged like this, when you've got some bad pitching out there, a lot of strike balls thrown, and the game is 3 hours long, and you get tired out there in the infield.
Davis hits one out to left, and Young right at the edge of the track to grab it.
That would be a home. That would be a home run in Philadelphia, Gary.
Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Houston.
God, I would love to play in Philadelphia for a full season.
And day games. When that hot weather hits that turf. And you can see the heat ray coming off the turf.
Here's Jason Bay, who drove a triple to right center and scored a run in the 5th. See, Reyes has 6 triples now. Bay has 5 triples. This is a great triples ballpark.
Tailor your club after the the friendly confines.
And a line drive to short. That ends the inning. Well, Ralph Kiner, it's been great to have you here again this afternoon.
Well, it's good to be back. And again, thank you, Keith.
Ralph, always good to see you. Love to end.
Okay, well, all right. Right on.
Been a good day for the Mets so far. A 6-0 lead after 6. Tickets for upcoming Mets home games at Citi Field are available for $19. Get your great seats direct from the source at Mets.com. John Neese with 6 scoreless innings under his belt. At 100 pitches on the afternoon. Takes on Danny Valencia leading off the 7th. And throws the curveball for ball 1. Valencia has one of the 4 hits for the Twins today. A single to center leading off the 5th. In fact, the Twins have had the leadoff man on each of the last 2 innings. Last inning, they had 2 on and nobody out, but Neese did some of his best work of the day, striking out Michael Kadire and getting a double play grounder from Delman Young. John has walked 2. He struck out 5. And now he falls behind Valencia 3-0.
Nope. Want 7 from Jonathan. It's just such a big difference for the bullpen when the starting pitcher can give you 7. You've only got the 8th and the 9th to cover out of your bullpen. Even though you got 7 guys out there.
6 now.
6 for, yes, that's true. It's unusual with us. Oh, Homer. I said us.
All 4, and let's see whether they'll go any further with him now or let him continue on. Dan Worthen on the phone to see whether the bullpen is ready to go, and that's going to be it.
Yep.
So after walking the leadoff hitter in the 7th, his 3rd walk of the day, Neese will exit at 105 pitches on the afternoon, and Elmer Descends will come on, and the Mets will try and get the necessary 9 outs to get John Neese's 5th win of the year. But a fine effort by John Neese today. Bouncing back from that rain-delayed start Tuesday night against the Tigers, in which he gave up 6 runs tonight, but today against a good team in Minnesota, no runs. Terrific. Coming out of the Mets bullpen, comes on here behind John Neese.
Well, he's been the 8th guy to bridge to K-Rod, and now it looks like he's been moved up a notch, which is maybe you might want to think that's a demotion. But Parnell evidently is going to be given a test run at the 8th position. And here's a lovely round of applause from the Shea fans. Very nice.
Well deserved for Neese. 6 innings plus today. 4 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. And if DeScens can strand his inherited runner, Neese will not have allowed a run. Jason Repko in his first game for the Twins has struck out and had an infield hit. 1 for 2. DeScens gave up a run in his first outing this year, has not given up a run since. 12 straight scoreless innings. In fact, he has not allowed a run in the month of June. He's been that good. But the advantage to having him a little earlier in the game is he can give you multiple innings, which a lot of guys in that Met bullpen cannot. He's been a starting pitcher in his career. He's done just about everything there is to do on the mound. In the air to left center, a lot of air under it. Sabay gets over. And Repko retired for the first out. So 1 out, Valencia back to first.
Well, speaking of that Met bullpen, they had that scoreless streak broken yesterday when Nieve gave up the home run. They have been really wonderful.
23 1/3 scoreless before that run. Here's Nick Punto, who's 0 for 2.
How did I know you'd know exactly the number? I was looking through my notes and I couldn't find it.
I thought you
so I threw it out there because I knew you'd pick me up.
That's why we're here. It's a team, you know.
You are amazing.
Punto twice has grounded on to Dwight Davis, and he pulls one through the hole for a base hit. Valencia pulls in at second. And so Minnesota has 2 men on. And that'll enable them to bring up Jim Thome. Thome making his first appearance of the series. The 38-year-old slugger with 570 career home runs. Now a part-time DH and pinch hitter for the Twins.
Well, he's in the perfect man for the spot right here. He's got to be going up there looking for a blast.
Trying to get the Twins back in the game with a long ball with 2 aboard and 1 out. And Thome swings and misses at the high fastball. Now let's see. You figure Thome and DeScens have had a history since they're both in their late 30s, and indeed they do. Thome with 10 career at-bats against DeScens, 3 hits including a home run. And he takes another rip, and DeScens is ahead 0-2.
Up and in fastball. Those big power hitters, crowd them upstairs. Don't let them extend the hands.
Thome first came up as part of that big slugging machine in Cleveland. What a team of hitters they had there. Bell, Manny Ramirez, Paul Sorrento, Sandy Alomar. Just an incredible offensive team. Kenny Lofton is their leadoff hitter.
Well, I was with that team in 90, my last year in the big leagues. And Carlos Baerga was there, Sandy Alomar Jr. It was all that nucleus of that team that was going to go to the World Series. Albert Bell, who I liked very much.
That's a foul ball off Thomas bat. Bell certainly was not beloved by people outside the game.
I liked him. He was temperamental. But I liked him. I got along great with him. He had a flash temper.
DeScens ahead 1-2 on Thome. And he gets him with the slider. Good pitch by DeScens for the second out of the inning.
Look, oh yeah, that's a strike. Little cutter right belt high on the hands. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's a strike. That is a pitcher's pitch.
So 2 out and 2 on, and now Denard Span, who's been up 3 times, grounded out all 3. The Twins have had only 5 hits today. And DeScent misses upstairs for ball 1. Mets today are trying to win their 6th consecutive home series. Last time they did that, they were playing their home games at a different ballpark in 2008. The Mets have won consecutive home series against the Yankees, the Phillies, the Marlins, the Padres, and the Tigers, and trying to add the Twins to that list. It's been an incredible home run for this team. 27-12 in their own ballpark.
And they've really moved up. Remember how poor they were on the road. Now they're 15-20 on the road.
I guess the next 3 days count as road games, even though they're
absolutely.
at a neutral site.
They're road games. Absolutely. The question is, will they be road games for the Marlins?
Well, they'll bat last, so technically they'll be home games. Just as the games that the Blue Jays are playing in Philadelphia this weekend, those are home games for Toronto.
Right. That was the G20?
Right.
Leave it to the politicians to get in the way of baseball.
2-1. Hit hard toward the whole base hit. Valencia goes to third. He'll be held up there as Bay gets it in. And so the Twins have the bases loaded with 2 down. The Span has his first hit of the day.
Well, goes the other way nicely. Nice angle right there with that camera. When you're down 6 runs, it's safety first.
So now Orlando Hudson comes up. Hudson has 2 hits today. Single to right, single to left center. Matt Guerrier is up in the Twins bullpen. Pedro Feliciano getting ready for New York with Joe Mauer on deck. So you figure this is DeScent's last batter. If Hudson gets on, they bring in Feliciano to face the lefty Mauer. Not a chance for Hudson to get the Twins closer here in the 7th.
Ideally, Jerry would like to have Pedro in reserve for the 8th. Have the Sens get out of this with as little amount of damage as possible. Get this final out.
The Sens has faced 4 batters, given up 2 hits. Now Hudson with the bases full. He throws him an off-speed pitch for a strike. Mauer looming on deck. Remember that the Twins in the dugout have one of the best hitters in baseball in Justin Morneau. Looking down the line. Just misses the inside corner, and it's 1-1.
Nice day off for that young man.
So far, anyway.
Justin Morneau, excuse me.
1-1. Fastball strike. The Sens, he is a crafty guy.
Well, you know, he's not overpowering, and it's much like Carl Pavano yesterday, Gary. And I asked the animal, Miss Chris Carter, I said, how hard was he throwing? I know our gun had him at 90 all day. He said he was throwing around, he felt 88. So you don't have to be overpowering to get people out.
1-2 to Hudson. Pulled on the ground. Davis gets over. Descends to cover. Side retire. The Sens finishes off the inning for Nice. Keeps the Twins scoreless. 7th inning stretch. 6-0 New York.
It's the Mets live on SNY viewing party at the Sly Fox Inn in Flushing. I know that place. It's right near St. John's. Be there Thursday at 7 p.m. Text poll results. We asked if you're still interested in the World Cup after Ghana beat the U.S. Not surprising result from the baseball fans. 3/4 of you say, forget about it.
Front runners.
What the Italy and France fans have to say. Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. I mean, you know it's going to come down to Brazil and Argentina in the end. It's like those tennis tournaments. Same people play in the finals all the time.
I must confess I haven't followed.
Young fans enjoying it on a hot day. Perfect day to come to the ballpark. Hey, when we were kids, you came to the ballpark on a Sunday afternoon. You came for the doubleheader.
Every Sunday was a double dip, and that's when your parents would take you because it was 2 for the price of 1.
Matt Guerrier comes in to pitch the 7th inning for the Twins.
Well, outstanding earned run average, even though earned run averages can be deceptive. But look at the batting averages. That's pretty impressive. 10 walks in 33 innings. That's outstanding. I think he's having a pretty good year. But what do I know?
Oh, you know plenty. You just aren't telling. Meanwhile, in Atlanta, the Tigers now lead the Braves 9-4, so the Mets have a chance to gain back the game they lost in the standings yesterday.
There's such a long way to go.
Doesn't mean we can't check in.
That's the fun of reading the paper in the morning.
It'll be Barajas, Francoeur, and Tejada for the Mets in the home 7th. The Mets have banged out 14 hits today, including 3 home runs. Francoeur, Wright, and Davis all going deep. Mets scored 2 in the 4th and 4 in the 5th to knock out Scott Baker. And Barajas takes a strike. Well, we hadn't seen Guerrier, who is the prime setup man for the Twins, and we also have not seen John Roush, who is closing these days for Minnesota. So probably both of them will get an inning of work today. Interesting that Roush has done so well in the absence of Joe Nathan, who's out for the year. Nathan, one of the best closers in baseball. I don't think we ever really saw Roush as a closer during his days with the Nationals. Barajas waves at 1 out of the zone, and Guerrier has a strikeout of his first man.
Guerrier is got a little more giddy up on the ball than we're used to seeing from the Twins here. He throws pretty hard.
So 1 out, and now Francoeur, who needs that triple for a cycle. Doubled in the 2nd, hit a 2-run homer in the 4th, singled in the 5th. Let's see, where would Jeff go to find a triple?
415. Geico sign.
He's been hitting a lot of balls to right center lately. Fouls that one at the plate.
Well, it's
very
good.
Close to being a fair ball.
Very good to see Francoeur with the 3 hits. Remember, he came into last night in a 1 for 19. So the streaky Francoeur, you kind of get a little nervous when you see those 1 for 19s, 1 for 15s. You know, how long is it going to go?
Well, he got himself started with that bunt first time up yesterday.
Yes, he did.
And he got another hit his next time up. And 3 hits today, 5 for his last 6. And curveball in for a strike, 1-2.
Nice pitch. Nice little yellow hammer here. Oh my, that is a good one. You know, I date myself when I call it a yellow hammer. I always like that term for a curveball.
Uncle Charlie?
And I never liked that one. I like yellow hammer.
Lord Charles? There are other names for it we can't use. The other way, still 1 and 2 to Francoeur.
Where the yellow came from, I have no idea, but I know where the hammer came from.
It's probably the same place as Screaming Yellow Zonkers.
Remember Screaming Yellow Zonkers?
No.
It's a kind of a popcorn snack from the 70s.
Please fill me in, please. Let me.
We're hanging in there. Remember Poppycock? Do you know that?
I've heard poppycock.
Well, yeah, we're full of poppycock sometimes.
Yes, I agree.
But Screaming Yellow Zonkers was a version of the same kind of snack, you know, kind of candy popcorn kind of thing.
But why would you put that in with a curveball? I don't understand.
Because it's Screaming Yellow Zonkers, and you were talking about where did the yellow come in Yellow Hammer, and then said the yellow came from the same place as the yellow and Screaming Yellow Zonkers. Right then.
So all baseball terminology originates in the New York area? I've never heard those.
Really? You think it was a regional product?
Yeah.
8th pitch to Frank Core, and he fouls back another one. So just getting his money's worth, looking for that triple. Mets haven't had a cycle since Jose Reyes pulled it off. What was that, 4 years ago? You're on that cycle list.
Yeah, but I got it in extra innings, even though I should have had it in regulation. Terry Tata called me out. Oh, good curve. I got a piece of it. I think the first or second at bat I got a base hit because all I needed was to get the cycle was a single in that game, and we were in extra innings and I got it. But earlier in the game, in the second inning, Dale Murphy made a diving catch and he didn't make the catch. And he sprawled on the ground and rolled, and he was able to recover after he dropped it. And the ball was hidden by his body from Terry Tata, and he called me out.
Frank Core pops one up, and this one will be in play for Hudson in foul ground for the second out. So Frank Core retired for the first time today. Well, of the 9 Mets who have hit for the cycle, you're the only one
Did an extra. Yeah. And Terry Tata was one of the good umpires. He was a very good umpire, but he was also he had a short fuse, boy. He had a temper.
You had 4 more plate appearances after you finished your cycle.
Well, my day was done.
A walk, a ground out, fly ball, and another ground out.
Ground out was a sinker right down the middle, and I was so tired. I rolled it over to second base, and I was just so mad at myself.
Rick Camp?
Yes, and he's a sinker ball pitcher. I should have known. Come on. I mean, I faced him a million times.
Ruben Tejada's 1 for 3 today. Now has a 10-game hitting streak, longest by a Met rookie in 7 years. Chris Carter and his heavy bat out on deck to pinch hit if Tejada keeps the inning going. Check swing foul, 1-1.
Well, I said earlier about this Matt Guerrero that he's got a little. From what we've seen today, this is an upgrade in stuff. I love his stuff.
Oh, this is their setup guy.
He's a
big-time reliever.
I like him. Good curve, good cutter, goes hard.
Tejada takes one toward the right field line, and Repko gets over to make the play. Repko's had a busy day out in right field. Helps Guerrero to a 1-2-3 inning. We've played 7 now on a Sunday afternoon in New York, and the Mets rolling 6-0.
Network as they go head-to-head. The Daily News beat writers and special celebrity guests about the latest happenings in New York sports on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, weekdays at 5, only on our network. And you know what that network is, folks, right there on your dial, SNY.
Dial?
I don't know.
Does anybody have a dial anymore? Pedro Feliciano takes over as we go to the 8th.
Well, Pedro pitched in the first game in this series, had a beautiful inning, and that was in the 8th. Struck out 2. He has been awesome. He is one of the best relief pitchers. Lefties in the game, if not a relief pitcher, period.
Comes in to face Joe Mauer leading off the 8th inning. Twins have had their chances today, but they have lacked the big hit all afternoon. Mauer's gone 0 for 2 and a walk. Their best chance came in the 6th after Hudson led off with a single. Mauer walked, but then John Neese struck out Kadire, got Young to ground into a double play. Then in the 7th, they loaded the bases, but DeSenz got Orlando Hudson to ground out, so the Mets have been able to hold the Twins off the board. One and one to Mauer. It's already have one shutout win on this homestand, and R.A. Dickey and Frankie Rodriguez combined to blank the Tigers. Right back to Feliciano, who fields his position so well. And Mauer retired, 1 out. Tomorrow the Mets head to Puerto Rico for some division rivalry as they start their series against the Marlins in San Juan. Mets Marlins presented by Rums of Puerto Rico. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. only on SNY.
Is that Don Koo and Bacardi?
I don't know. There are lots of Rums of Puerto Rico. To tell us more about what we can see in Puerto Rico, let's check in with Kevin.
I see a Marlins team that's in, I think, a little bit of dismay right now, guys. You know, I talked to Joe Capozzi, who covers the team every day for the Palm Beach Post, and he said, well, the Freddie thing really did happen very quickly, and the majority of the clubhouse was behind him and really liked playing for him. And the general consensus down there was that after the Hanley Ramirez incident, Hanley never really played all out, which is certainly not a good thing you want to hear. So now Freddie is gone. Bobby Valentine, there's a couple things potentially holding this up. Number one, in 2003, when the Marlins got rid of Torborg and brought in Jack McKeon came in the next day. Posey told me that the team was fine because they didn't go through the proper process. So they're going through that progress now. They actually just had in Bo Porter, the former third base coach, for an interview. Also, Bobby has a buyout in his TV contract. So those are the things, as Reyes calls and puts away Kadire. Those are the things that are holding that up. Now, there's another interesting thing with the Marlins, not only how the clubhouse is going to be, how the players are going to react, but I think you wonder now if things don't go well, if they're going to be in sell mode again. There was talk this offseason about Cody Ross, Dan Uggla, guys like that, good players making good money. Well, Logan Morrison, the Marlins' best prospect and a first baseman, too, has started playing left field. And I think there's two ways to think of it. You can say, okay, well, they've got Gabby Sanchez, also a young guy who's playing relatively well at first base, or he's starting to play left field because next year the plan is to put Chris Coughlin back at second base. He is a natural infielder and trade Dan Uggla. So a lot of things going on in the Marlins organization right now, guys.
Well, I think that there's been an assumption that Bobby Valentine is going to be the manager there, and I think it's a pretty good assumption. But I think there's also an assumption on the part of Marlins ownership and upper management that they have in place a team that should be able to compete for a championship. I mean, the owner has basically said that they expect to be a team in the postseason. They've got a $45 million payroll, and they had to be forced by the Players Association to up it to that point. I think there are some very unrealistic expectations from ownership and management in Florida. And I'm not sure that anybody's coming in and leading that team to a postseason berth.
Well, I think what will be the positive sign if Jeffrey Lurie is going to go out and pay Bobby Valentine, and that means it might be a sign with the new stadium coming in 12, excuse me, that they will be upgrading their ball club and spending more money.
Delvin Young strikes out. 1-2-3 inning for Feliciano. He made that look easy. It's looking for the rubber game and up 6-0. Isanori Dickey tries to go to 7-0 tomorrow night against Ricky Nolasco. Isanori Takahashi tries to bounce back Tuesday night against Nate Robertson. And Mike Pelfrey goes for win number 11 against Chris Volstad on Wednesday night.
Well, they'll miss Josh Johnson, their ace, and Ricky Nolasco, who was their ace last year, had a great second half. But he struggled this year.
Jose Mijares will come on to pitch for the Twins in the bottom of the 8th.
19th appearance. You can see right there, more hits than innings pitched. Those are the things that I look for, folks. If I'm looking at a pitcher I never face. 4 walks and 13 2/3. Okay, he throws strikes. 217 against the lefties. Oh, I didn't care about that. He had to face me.
This number is brought to you by Harrah's. Now Fernando Tatis, who has not had a hit in more than a month. His last hit May the 23rd. He's 0 for 17 since then. Mijares is just rejoining the Twins. He was away for a week on the bereavement list. He had a family emergency, and he was back in Venezuela, and the Twins don't believe that he picked up a ball for a week. So we'll see just how he pitches today.
It looks like he didn't miss a meal.
Bobby Parnell getting ready to pitch the 9th inning for New York. Doing 1 to Tatis. The Mets beat up on Scott Baker today. He gave up 6 runs and 11 hits over 4 1/3. Twins have used Alex Burnett, Ron Mayhay, and Matt Guerrier out of the bullpen, and now Mijares in the 8th. Reyes, who's not hitless today, waiting on deck. And then Feliciano, who will be looking for his first Major League 4-hit game. Mets have gotten 3 hits apiece from Jesus Feliciano, David Wright, and Jeff Francoeur today. Home runs from Wright, Davis, and Francoeur. It's been a big offensive afternoon. And Tatis hangs in there against the 93-mile-an-hour fastball.
He's a hard thrower, isn't he? Burley. I bet you he's got a rubber arm.
Although he spent some time on the disabled list earlier this year with a strained elbow. Get tight with the fastball, and it's 3-2 to Tatis.
He wanted that call.
Well, the White Sox might actually lose a game today. If the Cubs can keep it together for 3 more innings, will guarantee the way they've been playing. Tatis pops one up. And who's going to take it? Punto, the shortstop, grabs it. One away. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Not the first time for B.J. Upton. He is a serial jogger, and that is a big problem for Joe Madden that he's had to deal with for a couple of years now. And good for Longoria for calling him out. It's about time somebody did. I mean, B.J. Upton is an immensely talented player, but I would take his brother Justin any time over him because of just that. 1-1 to Reyes. Jose is 0 for 4 today. Reyes now hitless in his last 8 at-bats after a long hot streak.
Jonathan's on the verge of going to 5-2. 3-4-0 since coming off the disabled list.
Well, he's been terrific every time out, except, I mean, the game Tuesday night, you kind of put an asterisk next to that. Coming back after the rain delay and really struggling. Pitching with a big lead and not being able to finish the deal. Up and into Reyes, 3-1. Well, the Marlins got swept by the Padres. San Diego wins today 4-2 in Miami, so Mets will be facing a Marlins team that will have lost 4 in a row heading into their series tomorrow night.
Was that Matt Latos?
Yeah, Latos started, but the Padres scored 2 in the 8th, so the win went to the bullpen. Here's a strike, 3-2.
Quite a pitching staff over there. Quite a bullpen, quite a starting 5.
They are now 15 games over 500, and for the moment, the Padres now have a 4-game lead in the National League West for the Giants. 3-2 to Reyes. Popped up, shallow left, and Punto out, shading his eyes. Grabs it in fair territory. So 2 pop-ups to Punto and 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. And Reyes over 5. So now Feliciano. Jesus, who will be heading with the Mets back to his native Puerto Rico tonight.
Look for 4. He's got 3, you want 4. These 6-0 games right here, what Pete Rosen's told me. These are the at-bats you don't want to give away.
Feliciano making his 7th start in the big leagues, and it's already his 2nd 3-hit game, where he had 385 in AAA this year. And he takes the slider off the plate.
I know we brought this up a long time ago. McCovey against Don Drysdale. Dave gave us this to me a long time ago. I didn't bring it up.
Well, now you're bringing it up.
336 in batting average against Drysdale, Willie McCovey, in 128 at bats, 12 home runs, 31 RBI, and McCovey was also walked 21 times.
And how many times did Drysdale hit him?
Yeah, well, I don't think, no, Drysdale never hit him. McCovey, I had a conversation with Willie in San Francisco. He said Drysdale never threw at him. Very smart man.
That was the problem. He threw at everybody else.
He threw at Willie Mays, that's for sure. He used to always knock Willie down.
And that sidearm delivery, oh, he was nasty. Two and 1 to Jesus Feliciano, and he slashes one just foul. Close to that 4th hit.
Al Lanier, I was the manager, of course, of the Houston Astros back in '86, and we beat the Astros in the playoffs. And also, I played with Hal. Was also a starting shortstop for the Giants when I was a kid growing up. Played with Willie, both Willies, and I played with him in Tulsa in the minor leagues when he was trying to get back in the big leagues. He told me that Willie Mays, who always dug in real hard with his back foot, he never dug in on Don Drysdale.
Smart man.
The greatest player I ever saw play the game, Willie Mays.
I would concur with that.
There's just someone asks me that question all the time. It's never a hesitation. It is before they can get the greatest player you ever saw. Before they can get saw out, I say Willie Mays.
Off the fists. Over goes Punto again. Goes into the slide, but beyond his reach. Punto trying to make it 3 for 3 on pop-ups in the inning.
Well, that's the way to do it when you get close to that fence, the border there, whatever you want to call it. In that case, in that case, it was the tarp.
David Ortiz just homered in the 1st inning off Tim Lincecum. That's a pretty good matchup there. But the Red Sox up 1-0 in the 1st. Remember when Ortiz was done a month or 2 ago?
Yeah.
He's got 16 home runs now. Up and into Feliciano. This has been quite an at-bat. 3-2. Well, Detroit's up 10-4 in Atlanta in the bottom of the 7th now. So it looks like the Mets will have every chance to gain a game today and get within a half game of the Braves. 3-2. And Feliciano hits one back to Mijares. So Jesus Feliciano can't get that 4th hit, but 3 for 5 sounds pretty good. Now Bobby Parnell will try and finish off the Twins in the 9th. 6-0 New York. Flight to the big diamond. Camera guys.
No, that's not Jason.
Those are the Warriors on these days, trying to stay cool on a hazy, hot, humid afternoon. Bobby Parnell tries to close it out for New York.
Another good outing, another good time to bring Parnell in. His fourth game since coming up. Said that in today's paper, if you've read, that he kind of jumped the cutter, going back to the old basics. Hard fastball.
Danny Valencia leads off the ninth and takes high.
Hard fastball. We know he throws hard. Slider. Changeup occasionally.
I asked Jerry about Parnell, and he says he thinks that Parnell's slider is a little sharper than it was last year.
Yeah, he's got a little down break. He's getting him more over the top. Perfect your basic pitches first before you want to monkey around for another pitch. That's the way I feel.
The Mets trying for their 11th shutout victory of the season. They came into the day tied with the Padres for the most shutouts in the major leagues.
Nice. Oh, just missed. Phillies 11 runs again, Gary. They're up in double digits. They are. The slump is over.
They love those road games at home. Getting Jimmy Rollins back seems to have jump-started their entire team, and he knew it was only a matter of time.
Yep. Well, they brought him back too quick, Jimmy Rollins, with that calf. That calf is, you got to be very careful.
2-1 to Valencia. And he takes a strike, 94 on the outside.
Looks like Detroit is going to probably come out on top against the Bravos. 10-4 in the seventh.
And the Orioles sweep the Nationals. They win today 4-3. The Orioles came from 6-0 down on Friday to win. They came from 5-0 down yesterday to win. And they win again today. I mean, it's great that they have Strasburg. That's, they call it Strasmus when he pitches. But they're not winning any of their other games. And they are now 10 games under 500 for the season. And the Mets will be in Washington for 4 games starting on Thursday. 2-2 to Valencia, who's 1 for 2 and a walk. And he grounds one. Backhanded by Reyes, and that great arm. One away. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda. We'll see what's coming up on Lincoln Mercury Postgame Live. That could certainly have an effect on the trade market if there's anything wrong with Mr. Mejia. We'll have to tune in after the game and find out more about that. Jason Repko is 1 for 3, had an infield hit in the 5th. Repko takes a strike, 1-1.
Did you see this box score, Gary, in the Newsday? Whitlow Wyatt beat the Boston Bees. Oh, no, didn't beat them. It was a 2-2 tie after 23 innings. Whitlow Wyatt went 16 innings, 15 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. 6 players hit 10 times in that game.
Well, Ralph started to talk about it. I think we cut him off because there was some action involved. Talking about that longest game in history, that 26-inning game between the Braves and the Dodgers in 1920, in which both starters went the distance. Leon Cador and Joe Eschker, 26 innings each.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dolph Camelli was the first baseman for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and quite a fielder, by the way. And he had 32 putouts in that game.
Two-two to Repko. Popped it up. Good slider by Parnell. And Reyes takes charge for the second out. So 2 up and 2 set aside. The Twins down to their final out. They've only been shut out 4 times this year. And Nick Punto, the batter. Punto 1 for 3, singled in the 7th. So the Mets on the verge of completing another successful homestand. It took 2 out of 3 from the Tigers, on the verge of taking 2 out of 3 from the Twins. Mets will be back in town a week from tomorrow to take on the Cincinnati Reds. The day after July 4th. That would be the 5th. Strike to Punto, 0-1. Mets have 3 with the Reds and 3 with the Braves on the next homestand, which is the final week before the All-Star break.
And the Saturday-Sunday game is network, correct? I think we're off.
Saturday, not Sunday.
Not Sunday? Oh, then I have Sunday off.
Well, you might be off, but that doesn't mean the rest of us don't have to work. Lined over short, and Punto keeps it going with his second hit of the game. Hit number 7 for Minnesota. And now we'll get Jason Kubel as a pinch hitter. The Beast getting the day off today with the Mets starting the left-hander. Kubel hit a home run in yesterday's game, while Fernando Nieve also had an RBI double in that game. And Kubel takes a fastball for a strike. Swing and a miss, and now the Twins are down to their final strike. Now the 0-2. Just missed at 97 miles an hour. Parnell trying to finish it off for John Neese, who went 6 scoreless innings today, allowed just 4 hits. Bernard Span would be next. 1-2 to Kubel. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. John Neese gets his 5th win. The Mets get home runs from Francoeur, Wright, and Davis, and they finish off a 4-2 homestand with their 11th shutout victory of the season, 6-0 over the Twins.
28th win at home for the Metropolitans. They like it here now. After last year, they've gotten very comfortable here, and some good pitching. Name of the game again. All the goose eggs up there. Boy, the bottom half, the bottom 2/3 of this Met rotation has picked it up, and now off to Puerto Rico for back in division, Gary, and back in the National League.
Yep, the interleague schedule is over. The Mets wound up 13-5 against the American League, the most wins they've ever had in a season in interleague play. John Neese gets his 5th win, and the Mets had plenty of offense today to take 2 out of 3 from the Twins. Their 6th straight series win at home. Back to Citi Field in just a moment.